Chapter 231. Quick. Dipar. What are you standing there for? She's not breathing. She's dead. What? Chu Xiang is dead? Chu Xiang heard some voices in a daze. It was like her ears were stuffed with cotton, and the voices were far and near. It was like a dream and she couldn't hear what they were saying. She could only hear that they were panicking and there were also girls screaming and crying. I'll do it. A very low voice sounded, and then Chu Xiang felt someone come to her side. His movements were very rigid as he repeatedly performed CPR and CPR on her. Cough, cough, cough. Chu Xiang recovered and suddenly coughed out a large mouthful of saliva. She turned her upper body and coughed. She's awake. Chu Xiang is awake. That's great. Chu Xiang, how are you feeling? Are you all right? Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? Who can see if the ambulance has arrived? Let's go to the hospital for a checkup. A boy ran over to help Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang looked up and saw that he was the class monitor of the previous host, Zhang Ji. He was a hypocrite who wanted to pursue the previous host. She naturally didn't want him to touch her, so she grabbed the arm that saved her and tried to sit up. Unfortunately, she overestimated her strength and her body softly fell into that person's embrace. Chu Xiang was slightly panting as she knit her brows in pain. She felt the chest of the person beside her tighten. She looked up and saw that it was the previous host's deskmate, Xiao Yan. He was a person who closed himself off and didn't interact with others. But compared to the hypocrite, Xiao Yan made Chu Xiang feel much more comfortable. She temporarily borrowed his embrace and closed her eyes to rest, wanting to recover some strength. After all, this body had just drowned and she still felt very uncomfortable. Her throat was very painful and she urgently needed to adjust her breathing. Zhang Qi saw that Chu Xiang was ignoring him and was still leaning in the arms of another boy. His expression changed slightly, but he still moved closer to Chu Xiang and comforted her. Chu Xiang, don't be afraid. It's okay now. When the ambulance arrives, I'll send you to the hospital immediately. More than 20 students around them had been scared out of their wits. Now that they had calmed down, some of them were still shedding tears from the lingering fear, while others scolded Chu Xiang angrily. Do you have a brain? You don't know how to swim, yet you dare to harm people by the pool? Now Chu Xian is fine, but you almost drowned. This is retribution. That's right. It's fine if you want to die, but why are you scaring us? Are you going to take responsibility if we're scared? He deserved to drown. Class leader, why are you so concerned about her? She was fine now that she was awake. The one who was in trouble was Chu Xiang. Chu Xian was pushed into the water by Chu Xiang, and she was still trembling in fear. In my opinion, we shouldn't call an ambulance. We should call a police car and send Chu Xiang to the police station. She attempted murder. At least 7 or 8 people chimed in, followed by Chu Xian's sobbing and weak voice. Don't be like this. I believe that elder sister didn't do it on purpose. She might have slipped. Chu Xian, don't help her. It's like this every time. You were locked in the toilet by her. You didn't blame her for ruining your school uniform or destroying your thesis. Now she's even worse. She actually pushed you into the pool. She knows that you can't swim. She just wants to kill you. Call the police. If you don't call the police, I will. Don't. Shasha, don't. Mom and Dad will be sad. Chu Xian anxiously grabbed Chu Xiang's phone. Her face was full of pleading, which made the students even angrier. They were very disgusted with Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang finally breathed smoothly. She opened her eyes and looked at the other side of the argument. The boys and girls staring at her were all high school classmates of the original owner. That Chu Xian was her current sister in name. 17 years ago, the Chu family and the Chen family's mistresses gave birth in the same hospital. The weather was extremely bad, and the hospital had a short power outage for a few minutes. Somehow, the two families' daughters were swapped. The truth was not discovered until 3 months ago. The two families' backgrounds weren't very different at that time, but 17 years later, Father Chen's business failed. He went bankrupt and even sold his house. The family of 3 lived in a low-rent house and set up a stall to sell breakfast. Meanwhile, Father Chu made a lot of money investing in real estate and caught up with the wave of Lingzi internet. Now he was worth billions. No one expected that Chu Xian would be the first to propose an exchange. After all, she was the daughter of a rich family. If she was swapped to the Chen family, it was no different from falling into a quagmire. But because she took the initiative to propose an exchange, she wanted to return a happy life to the original owner. No matter how reluctant the Chu family's parents were, they couldn't let the original owner suffer. This made everyone who knew of this feel even more distressed for her, especially Father Chu and Mother Chu. The original owner didn't have a good life in the Chen family. After Father Chen went bankrupt, he liked to smoke and drink. He became more irritable and easily angered. If he was unhappy, he would hit the original owner. Mother Chen was a little superstitious. When she was rich, she liked to worship Buddha. After she fell, she felt that the original owner was a jinx to them. Although she didn't send the original owner away, she didn't like the original owner. The original owner had to do at least half of the Chen family's stall and housework. So when the original owner found out that she had biological parents, the only thing she felt was relief. She could finally leave that family. She looked forward to fatherly and motherly love. The first time she went to the Chu family, she showed her joy. Compared to Chu Xian's sadness, she left the Chu family with the first impression that she despised the poor and loved the rich. After that, Chu Xian ignored the Chu family's urging and only took a few clothes and documents to the Chen family. The Chu family's things belonged to the original owner. She shouldn't have taken them. This made the Chu family's heart ache. The Chu family's rotten Chu Xian didn't have the mood to care about the original owner. She only told the servants to take good care of the original owner. She wanted to adjust her mood before starting a new life. Rich people had a set of rules for eating, bearing, and speaking. No one thought of teaching the original owner, so she naturally acted like a clown in the Chu family. She also sensed that her biological parents didn't like her. She didn't understand why. Her adoptive parents didn't like her, and her biological parents also didn't like her. She had never been loved since she was born. What did she do wrong? She hoped to be loved by her parents, so she became more and more reserved in front of them. This kind of childish behavior made Father and Mother Chu dislike her even more. Then less than a week later, the Chen family called and said that Chu Xian was in the hospital. Chu Xian grew up in a luxurious life. She suddenly lived in a damp and dark room. She helped her parents set up a stall and fell sick after a rain. Father Chen and Mother Chen didn't treat her well, because she didn't bring any money home. They told her to bear the cold to save money. Who knew that her body was so weak that she fainted from a high fever? If the doctor was late, it would have turned into pneumonia. Father and Mother Chu were very angry. They negotiated with the Chen family. After giving them 5 million as a buyout fee, they brought Chu Xian back to the Chu family and adopted her as the original owner's younger sister. The original owner didn't have any objections. She knew how hard it was for the Chen family, and she didn't want to stay in the Chen family. But she was still a little disappointed, because after Chu Xian came back, she saw what a father and mother's love was. She saw it from Chu Xian and her parents. She felt like an outsider and couldn't fit in at all. Chu Xian felt guilty when she saw her, but Father and Mother Chu felt that she was narrow-minded. She knew that the Chen family wasn't good, but she didn't tell them. Now that Chu Xian came back, they were unhappy. They felt that she must have the same temperament as the Chen family, so their unintentional rejection of her became even more obvious. After that, it was the original owner's nightmare. She had just praised Chu Xian's diamond necklace, but the next day, she found out that the necklace was hidden in her room. No one believed that she didn't steal it. No matter how she explained, she only received disappointed looks and reprimands from her parents. At the banquet, she was called to the garden by Chu Xian. After a few words, Chu Xian fell down on her own. Then several rich young ladies and young masters came. When they saw this scene, they naturally thought that the original owner bullied her. The original owner anxiously explained that Chu Xian fell down on her own. Her words angered everyone, and she was excluded from the upper class. She was also grounded for a week by Father and Mother Chu. She framed Chu Xian. The original owner was anxious. Finally, her parents finished the transfer procedures for her. She could go to a noble high school. The new environment made her relax a little. When she was in the Chen family, School was the only place she could relax. The only bad thing was that she was in the same class as Chu Xian in the new school. Chu Xian brought her into the classroom and introduced her to everyone. She told everyone about her background and smiled so brightly that everyone could feel her kindness. But the original owner was afraid of her and couldn't smile at her. On the first day of school, she was misunderstood by the whole class that she was difficult to get along with. They thought that she was dissatisfied with Chu Xian. Then Chu Xian was locked in the toilet. When they asked her who she was, she didn't know. It was only when someone mentioned that the original owner went to the toilet that everyone knew it was the original owner. Chu Xian's uniform was cut into pieces in the changing room of the physical education class. The original owner's thesis was destroyed in the tablet. Someone saw the original owner nearby. Chu Xian pleaded that it wasn't the original owner. She begged everyone not to mention it again, and begged the teacher not to pursue it. The Chu family didn't know about the school, but the original owner felt that Chu Xian was too scary. She endured for 2 months, and finally couldn't help but tell father and mother Chu everything. But the result made her heart cold. They didn't believe her. They thought that she was hopeless. She couldn't tolerate Chu Xian, and kept using her lame and stupid schemes to frame Chu Xian. They saw through her tricks and warned her that if she didn't behave, they would throw her back to the Chen family. The original owner was filled with despair. It was as if the world had turned black. She was only 17 years old. Growing up in the Chen family made her have no experience. She was like a trapped beast that couldn't find a way out. Even her classmates could see that she had become depressed. They felt that she was strange and didn't want to get close to her. Today was the monthly party for the whole class. Every student had to participate. The school set up this party to cultivate the students' organizational skills and communication skills. This time, the students voted for a villa holiday. There was a swimming pool, a basketball court, a game room, various game props, and cooking. It was enough for them to relax and have a good time. Who knew that when everyone was having fun, they heard a scream? Chu Xian fell into the swimming pool. In a panic, she grabbed the original owner's arm and made her fall in as well. The two of them couldn't swim. Everyone rescued them one after another, but found that the original owner wasn't breathing. The teenage boys and girls were frightened. They didn't feel better until Chu Xiang woke up. When they calmed down, they couldn't help but blame Chu Xiang. Because looking at Chu Xian, they knew that Chu Xiang must have pushed her into the water. Chu Xiang sorted out the original owner's memory in less than half a minute. In everyone's eyes, she just woke up and was a little dazed. Chu Xiang clenched Xiao Yan's arm and wanted to stand up. Xiao Yan noticed her movements and helped her up. Chu Xiang immediately had the heaven and earth mirror check if there was any surveillance here. In the end, there was knowing. Looking at the expressions of the students, she knew that they didn't see what happened, so no one could testify for her. Just like every time in the past, Chu Xian used her superb acting skills and perfect timing to frame her again. Chu Xiang wasn't as silent as the original owner. She leaned against Xiao Yan and used her gloomy eyes to sweep over the students one by one, looking at each of them. Didn't they say that the original owner had a psychological problem? Then let them see what a gloomy person with a psychological problem was like. The noisy scolding became louder and soon disappeared. All the students looked at her and felt a chill in their hearts. Even the girl who had been scared to tears subconsciously held her breath. She didn't know why, but she was a little scared. Chu Xiang said in a low voice, "I'm harming people? Attempted murder?" She had choked on water just now and her voice was very unpleasant to hear. It made her look even more strange. No one dared to answer her. Chu Xiang looked straight at Chu Xian. "If you lie, you will go to the 18th level of hell and be reincarnated as a beast. Did I push you?" Chu Xian swallowed her saliva. She didn't know why Chu Xiang suddenly became like this. She was inexplicably nervous. She opened her mouth and wanted to say something vague, but Chu Xiang's words were like a curse, making her a little scared. She could only make an aggrieved expression and lower her eyes. "No, I didn't." Then tears fell down. She didn't lie. She wouldn't go to hell. But no one would believe that she was telling the truth. Sure enough, her best friend, Wang Shasha, who was supporting her, immediately defended her. "Chu Xiang, what do you mean? You know that Xian always protects you. Isn't she tolerant enough? Are you going to kill her before you're satisfied? Chu Xiang met her gaze and was incomparably gloomy. I didn't push the person involved, but you insist on accusing me of attempted murder. What are your intentions? Do you know the law? Were you the one who wanted to call the police? Fine, call the police. I want to sue you for slandering me. Chu Xiang looked at the others, who saw it with their own eyes. Come forward. Who else locked the toilet, cut the school uniform, destroyed the thesis? Who saw it with their own eyes? Come forward and let me see. They were all teenagers. No one had seen her like this before. It was as if she had a mental illness. It was too scary. The students looked at each other hesitantly. When they found that no one came forward, they were a little surprised. A boy felt that he was too cowardly to be frightened by a girl, so he snorted coldly, "Everyone knows that you did it." Yes. Wang Shasha immediately added and even pushed Chu Xian. Xian, don't be afraid. Look at her. She has done so many bad things, and yet she is still so self-righteous. She even wants to sue me for slandering her. Quick, expose her true colors. How can someone like her be our classmate? She is simply psychopathic. Chu Xian looked at her awkwardly, then looked at Chu Xiang and whispered, "We are all fine now. Let it go, okay? Mom and Dad, they are already very annoyed. I don't want them to be angry over these things. Besides, my identity. I'm sorry." She bit her lip and took a deep breath, looking as if she was enduring the humiliation. "Chu Xiang, I slipped and fell into the water. I'm sorry to have implicated you. You go to the hospital for a checkup. I'm sorry." She covered her mouth and ran away after saying that. Wang Shasha was furious, but she also understood that Chu Xian's identity as an adopted daughter was awkward and she could not complain. It was just that there were no cameras here. Without evidence, it was useless to call the police. She glared at Chu Xiang and ran after her. Seeing this, the students began to talk about it. From time to time, words such as "ing is her," "too much," "crazy," and so on could be heard. Chu Xiang's throat was uncomfortable. She coughed and lowered her voice. "Chu Xian can't swim, and neither can I. But all of you can. If I pushed her into the water, you could immediately save her. Why would you blame me like this? May I ask why I did such a thing?" Everyone was stunned by her question. Chu Xiang continued, "You think that I bullied Chu Xian, but every time, I was the one who was scolded, isolated, and lectured by the teachers. What grievances did Chu Xian suffer? Maybe you will think that I was too stupid to be found out. Ha, the stupid one is not me, but you. Mind your own business and study hard. Don't be like an idiot who lacks a gun. It's ridiculous." Chu Xiang heard the sound of the ambulance. She ignored these people and struggled to go outside. However, after just 2 steps, she felt that her legs were weak. She stood still and looked at Xiaoyan. "I can't walk. Can you carry me to the ambulance? And help me get my school bag? Thank you." She didn't mean to refuse, and Xiaoyan did not refuse. He bent down and carried her up. He strode to the bedroom upstairs, took her school bag, and got into the ambulance steadily and quickly. Chu Xiang glanced at Xiaoyan's body. He looked a little thin. She didn't expect him to be so strong. He carried her so far, but his breath was not out of order. Before she closed her eyes, she said to Xiaoyan, "Thank you. I can handle the rest. I'll treat you to a meal instead." Xiaoyan didn't say anything or nodded. Seeing the door of the ambulance closed and driving away, he also asked the driver to pick him up. Chu Xiang was very weak. She arrived at the hospital in a daze. She asked the nurse to help her with a full-body examination, went through the hospitalization procedures, and hired a nurse. Then she turned off her phone and fell asleep peacefully. Chu Xiang didn't contact anyone. So when Chu Xian hugged her best friend and was ready to go home, she was surprised to find that she didn't know which hospital Chu Xiang was in. They came out together. How could she explain to Chu Xian's parents when she went home alone? If Chu Xiang went home, how could she deal with it? She was upset and called the nanny at home. She was relieved when she found that Chu Xiang didn't go home and didn't call. When she was waiting for the car at the door, she frowned and fainted. Wang Shasha, who had been accompanying her, immediately held her and said nervously, "Are you very uncomfortable? No, you'd better go to the hospital. What if there's something wrong with you? Chu Xian shook her head. I'm fine. I'll be fine after lying down. She looked at Wang Shasha and showed a weak and helpless expression. Then she smiled reluctantly. You know, I'm not really a member of the Chu family. My parents have done a lot for me. I don't know what will happen when my sister comes home. I don't want to cause any more trouble. I'm fine. Wang Shasha used to be good friends with Chu Xiang. Since her identity was exposed, she felt more and more sorry for her. She felt that she didn't have it easy and always wanted to do something for her. Just like now. She hugged Chu Xian. I'll take you home and stay with you. You're scared, aren't you? Don't think about anything. Everything will be fine. Wang Shasha was disappointed. She couldn't wait to let Chu Xian expose Chu Xiang's true identity in front of everyone and ask Chu Xiang to get out. But she also knew that Chu Xiang was the real daughter of the Chu family. If Chu Xian did that, she might be misunderstood. So she just felt sorry for Chu Xian and wanted to spend more time with her poor and unlucky friend. Chu Xian raised the corner of her mouth in a place where she couldn't see and took her back to the Chu family as she wished. She tidied her hair and put on makeup. She looked good, but her eyes were red. As soon as she got home, Chu Xian's mother saw that something was wrong. Chu Xian's mother looked at her in surprise. Xian, what's wrong? What happened? Chu Xian smiled and took her arm. Nothing happened. When I was cooking, I cut onions and my eyes burned. No matter how I washed them, they didn't work. My eyes turned red. Chu Xian's mother believed her. Well, there's a trick to cutting onions. Aunt Wang can teach you. She smiled at Wang Shasha. Shasha, you haven't been here for a long time. Stay for dinner. I'll ask the kitchen to cook your favorite dishes. Wang Shasha had something on her mind. She smiled reluctantly. No, Aunt. My mom and I are going back. I'll stay with Xian for a while. Well, come and stay for a while when you're free. Chu Xian's mother finally realized that something was wrong. Xian, where's your sister? Chu Xian's expression changed for a moment, and then she stuttered. She went to buy study materials. She'll be back later. Chu Xian's mother saw that she was evading her eyes. She narrowed her eyes and said, Xian, you never lie. What's going on? What was Chu Xiang doing instead of going home? Did she get into trouble again? Chu Xian smiled. No, Mom. Don't make wild guesses. Chu Xian's mother didn't like the feeling of being kept in the dark. Chu Xian was obviously lying. She pulled a long face and said, Xian, where did you and Chu Xiang go? If you keep covering up for her, I'll be angry. Chu Xian stood in front of her helplessly. Wang Shasha couldn't stand it anymore. She said, Aunt, you can't blame Xian. If you want to blame someone, blame Chu Xiang for going too far. Chu Xian hurriedly pulled Wang Shasha and wanted to stop her anxiously. Wang Shasha ignored her. Aunt, it's been more than 2 months. Chu Xiang has been bullying Xian at school. I heard that you already know about it, so I won't talk about it. But today Chu Xiang went too far. She knew that Xian couldn't swim, but she still pushed Xian into the swimming pool. After that, she refused to admit it. No one saw it. She even reported it to the police and warned me to slander her. What? Chu Xian's mother opened her eyes wide. She suspected that there was something wrong with her ears. Chu Xiang pushed Xian into the water on purpose? How is that possible? Aunt, if I wasn't at the scene, I wouldn't believe it either. Chu Xiang is so vicious. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have treated your daughter like that. Xian kept stopping me, but I'm a straightforward person. I can't bear to see Xian suffer so much. Aunt, forgive me for being blunt. Although Chu Xiang is related to you by blood, she's not raised by you. I'm afraid her temperament is not like yours. Your best daughter is always Xian. When you have time, you should be stricter with Chu Xiang. Don't let her bully Xian anymore. Wang Shasha said this in someone else's house for the first time. She felt very embarrassed and immediately left. Chu Xian's mother still couldn't believe it. She pulled Chu Xian and asked her, Is what Wang Shasha said true? Chu Xiang, she pushed you into the water on purpose? What did she want to do? Did she want to kill you? Chu Xian's mother's voice was trembling. She was afraid that her own daughter was so vicious that she wanted to kill someone. How much hatred did she have for her to do such a thing? Chu Xian's eyes were red, but she tried hard not to cry. She comforted Chu Xian's mother with a smile. Mom, it's not that serious. There were so many classmates around the swimming pool. It's not that serious. It's just a prank. No, it's just that I slipped. It's my fault. I was so scared and anxious that I accidentally dragged my sister into the water. She choked even more seriously than I did. By the way, Chu Xian suddenly pulled Chu Xian's mother. When I went to the room to take a shower, my sister left by herself in the ambulance. I saw that she was fine, so I thought she would come back before me. Mom, since your sister didn't come home, she might be very uncomfortable. Let's find out which hospital she is in and go to see her. Chu Xian's mother heard Wang Shasha's words clearly. It was Chu Xiang who pushed Chu Xian on purpose. But now Chu Xian had to compromise and slipped. Chu Xian couldn't swim. It was normal for her to pull Chu Xiang into the water in a panic. But why did Chu Xiang go to the hospital if she was fine? Acting pitiful? Since she could get into the ambulance by herself, how could she be uncomfortable? She had been there for so long, but she didn't call home. This child was so strange that no one knew what she was thinking. She was too difficult to get along with. Chu Xian's mother blamed Chu Xiang in her heart, but she still tried to persuade Chu Xiang. But Chu Xiang's mobile phone was turned off. She could only ask the servant to call the hospitals near the resort and ask them one by one to find out which hospital Chu Xiang was in. Such a troublesome child annoyed her, and her daughter, whom she had loved for 17 years, made her feel sorry for her. She hugged Chu Xian and sighed. Silly child, you have been wronged. Mom. Chu Xian had been home for a long time. She didn't let her tears fall until now, which made Chu Xian's mother even more distressed. At the same time, she convinced Chu Xian's mother that it was Chu Xiang who pushed her by saying that she slipped. No matter what Chu Xiang would do when she met Chu Xian's mother, it didn't matter. How could there be so much evidence in the world? Whoever won the favor of the ruler was right. In the Chu family, she would always be right. Even though Chu Xiang almost died today, she couldn't beat Chu Xian's mother. Half an hour later, the servant found the hospital where Chu Xiang was staying. Chu Xian's mother told Chu Xian to have a good rest and asked the driver to take her to the hospital. After arriving at the hospital, Chu Xian's mother heard that Chu Xiang was admitted to the best ward in the hospital, which made her look even worse. Chu Xian just choked on water. Since she was fine and could take the car by herself, how serious could it be? Chu Xian's mother really didn't know how to enjoy herself when she became rich overnight. Chu Xian was admitted to the best ward in the hospital for a checkup, which made Chu Xian's mother feel very happy. When Chu Xian's mother came to the ward, Chu Xiang was dreaming. She dreamed that when she and the original owner were handed over, the original owner was like a wooden person, lifeless. She didn't have any desire to survive in the pool because the original owner knew what she would face when she got out of the pool, and what her parents would face when they found out. Time after time, she had had enough. She no longer had any desire to struggle for survival. If the original Chu Xian didn't sink to the bottom of the water with the will to die, how could she drown in the pool so easily? At that time, her classmates quickly went down to save her. Chu Xiang told the original Chu Xian that she wanted this body. In exchange, she could let Qianku and Mirror send the original Chu Xian to a good reincarnation. Hearing this, the original Chu Xian's eyes lit up. I can be reincarnated? I don't have to face Chu Xian and these people anymore? The 17-year-old girl's face was full of anxiety. She couldn't believe that such a good thing would happen to her. She couldn't believe that she could be free like this. Chu Xiang said to her, "Yes, you can have parents who love you. Do you have any other wishes?" The girl shook her head. "My biggest wish is to have someone to love me and love me. You have helped me realize it. I don't like this world. I don't like Chu Xian. She is too terrible." The girl who had always been suppressing her tears alone broke down and cried in front of Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang hugged her and whispered, "Go have a new life and be a happy child." "Thank you." That was the last voice Chu Xiang heard of her. The girl didn't get kindness from this world. In the end, she was still willing to believe her and made a deal with her without any doubt. Such a kind girl was forced to death by Chu Xian. And the other people who accused her, weren't they accomplices? They were accomplices who were deceived by the murderer. Chu Xiang heard the sound of the door opening. She opened her eyes and saw Chu Xian's mother. She raised the corner of her mouth and spoke first. What? Did someone complain so quickly? What did I tell you this time? You couldn't wait to come to the hospital to denounce me. You didn't even want to let me rest for a while. Hearing her words, Chu Xian's mother was angry. What's with your attitude? You used to cover it up. Now you have nothing to lose. Why are you so sharp-tongued? No, I just found that my sincerity will only be trampled by you. In this case, I take it back. From the beginning, there was no evidence. I told the truth every time. However, you only believed the daughter you raised and didn't believe me. I'm sure it will be the same this time. It's useless to say so much. Please go back. I'm still very weak from the shock from drowning. I'm much more serious than your daughter. I hope you can give me some space to rest for the sake of blood ties. Chu Xiang glanced at her and looked out of the window. It was obvious that she didn't want to see her. Chu Xian's mother was stunned for a moment. Then she became angrier. What kind of look was that? Indifference? Alienation? Chu Xiang did something wrong and still acted like she was in the right? She suppressed her anger and said, What are you trying to do? How did Xian get in your way? It was just an accident. She didn't do anything wrong to you. You're so young. I think you've been led astray by the Chen family. How about this? I'll enroll you in a class to learn about moral character. You'll study every day after school and get rid of all your bad habits. Chu Xiang laughed. That's good. If I don't stay in the same space as Chu Xian, I won't be so miserable anymore. She looked at Chu Xian's mother and said sarcastically, Businessmen pursue profit. I heard that you were a successful businesswoman when you were young. Then shouldn't you analyze who is the one who benefits from this incident? Time after time, you think that I'm stupid and do stupid things because I'm jealous? Sorry, I don't have the hobby of being abused again and again. I'm the one who's scolded and punished every time. What reason do I have to keep doing these things? You think that I'm stupid enough to bully Chu Xian? Doesn't that mean that your genes are bad? Or do you think that Chu Xian is weak and can only be bullied? Chu Xian is the one who benefits the most from the beginning. She's indeed the daughter you raised. She's much smarter than me. Enroll me in a class. I'm happy to stay away from her. You can let me live outside. As long as I can't see her, I'll be safe. Otherwise, I might not be so lucky to wake up the next time I drown. By then, the Chu family will have no descendants. The word no descendants shocked Chu Xian's mother. She loved Chu Xian and trusted her. She raised her own daughter. What reason did she have to doubt her? However, this was the first time that Chu Xiang had said so much. What she said was reasonable, and she couldn't refute it. She always felt that Chu Xiang was arrogant and intolerant. She was jealous that Chu Xian was loved by them and always bullied Chu Xian secretly. She was a child who grew up in the Chen family's environment. She wasn't scheming, and it wasn't strange that she was found out every time. Everything made sense. Everything made sense. She believed that everyone thought the same as she did. However, if Chu Xiang jumped out of her identity and only thought about the problem from the perspective of a vested interest, then Chu Xian would undoubtedly be the only one who benefited from the exchange of identities. Chu Xiang would suffer a crushing defeat. Every time Chu Xiang bullied Chu Xian, she would go for wool and come home shorn. Chu Xian had never suffered any real harm. She was just sad and wronged. However, thinking about it carefully, every time Chu Xiang was scolded, punished, isolated and ostracized by her family and classmates, she only felt that she deserved it. However, from her own perspective, wasn't she more sad and wronged? It was very difficult to change an established view. Chu Xian's mother just shook and frowned at Chu Xiang. You're really good at changing the concept. So all the successful people who benefit have problems, and the failed ones are the ones who are bullied? The weak are right? You're right about one thing. I raised Xian. How can I not know my own child? She's kind and didn't argue with you. However, I want to tell you that when we found out that the child was swapped, we were more inclined to not exchange her. We didn't even want to tell the Chen family. It was Xian who proposed the exchange. She went to the Chun family without asking for anything. Do you think she arranged all this? Do you think she's a god who can foresee things? Your words are too laughable. Chu Xian's mother didn't want to talk to the stubborn Chu Xiang anymore. She said coldly, "You should reflect on yourself. We've never mistreated you. If you continue to make trouble, you can go back to the Chun family." Chu Xian's mother got angry when she saw Chu Xiang and left quickly. However, her heart was not calm at all. Even though she firmly believed that her judgment was correct, Chu Xiang's words still successfully entered her mind. Would the daughter they raised be so weak? Would she be bullied by Chu Xiang again and again without any regrets? Was Chu Xiang really so stupid? Would she be found out every time she bullied others? Perhaps, only a few of them were found out. Chu Xiang might have bullied her many times behind her back. Chu Xian's mother began to have different ideas in her mind. Once there was a crack in her trust, many ideas that she had never had before would emerge. Even if she was firm in her thoughts now, there would be a day when she would be shaken. Chapter 232. Chu Xiang's mother didn't mention anything about Chu Xiang when she got home. Chu Xian asked about it, but she didn't need to care about it. Chu Xian didn't know what happened in the hospital, but judging from Chu Xiang's mother's angry face, she knew it wasn't a pleasant meeting. She was happy. She locked the door and had a comfortable beauty sleep. This time, the whole class of 30 people had attended the gathering and almost lost their lives. All the students had immediately told the people around them about this matter. By the next day, almost the entire school knew that Chu Xiang had drowned and was hospitalized. Of course, at the same time, there were also inside stories. Some said that Chu Xiang deliberately pushed Chu Xian into the water. Some said that Chu Xiang tried to steal a chicken only to end up losing the rice used to lure it. Some said that Chu Xiang couldn't pretend anymore, and some said that Chu Xiang was thick-skinned and refused to admit it. Her classmates had a very bad impression of her. Almost all the inside stories that were spread were unfavorable to her. Only 1 or 2 people saw the truth with their own eyes. There was no evidence at all. The only evidence might be Chu Xian's aggrieved attitude. Chu Xiang also asked them who had seen the previous incidents. She didn't do anything at all. Of course, not many people believed this. Chu Xian was gentle, beautiful, and kind-hearted. She was the campus belle of their school. She had many pursuers and was very popular. If Chu Xiang was wronged, could it be that Chu Xian framed her? It was obvious that it was impossible. Chu Xiang's excuse was just the bad habit of a shameless person. However, no one thought that Chu Xiang wanted to kill Chu Xian. At most, they thought that she wanted to play a prank on Chu Xian and see Chu Xian make a fool of herself. They were all classmates. How could she be so bad? Chu Xiang's rival in love was the first to speak up for Chu Xian. Because there were many pursuers of Chu Xian, some girls couldn't help being hostile to Chu Xian when they saw that the boy they had a crush on only treated Chu Xian well. In the past, they always heard that Chu Xiang bullied Chu Xian. Although they faintly felt happy, they couldn't believe that Chu Xiang was right. But this time, Chu Xiang didn't do anything, and everyone found that there were no witnesses or evidence in every case, so they couldn't help but speak up for Chu Xiang. How long has it been since Chu Xiang transferred from that rundown school in the suburbs to our school? How could she be so powerful? How could he not get caught every time he did something bad? Don't tell anyone who saw her go to the scene. They're all classmates in the same class, and the scope of activities and time are the same. Don't tell me that no one else has been to the scene? Everyone only suspected her, right? No one really believed that she was the one who did it. The reason why everyone was so sure that she was the one who did it was because Chu Xian had pleaded for her every time. Chu Xian is the key to everyone's conviction of Chu Xiang's crime. So what if Chu Xiang bullied Chu Xian? Chu Xian had occupied his identity for 17 years. Why was Chu Xian still here? Wasn't it because she couldn't stay in the Chun family anymore? She had only stayed for a week and she couldn't stay any longer. Chu Xiang had stayed for 17 years. If it were me, I would definitely hate her to death. You can't judge a book by its cover. It's better to mind your own business. Outsiders shouldn't meddle in the affairs of the 2 sisters, right? Don't be unaware that you're missing a gun. No matter what argument was put forward, there would be people who agreed. Sometimes people didn't think so because they didn't think of it. Now that such a voice came out, some people in the school expressed their agreement. Not all of them knew or liked Chu Xian. As bystanders, they gossiped. Everything was possible. Why did it have to be Chu Xiang's fault? The students were discussing in various student groups. Some people were gossiping until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. They were still yawning when they came to school in the morning. High school students were under a lot of pressure. It was rare to have such a drama happen around them. Everyone was very curious. Even the top students couldn't help but want to know a thing or two. Therefore, when a student saw Chu Xiang at the school gate, within 2 minutes, the news spread in various student groups. Many nosy students leaned against the window and looked down. No one knew what they wanted to see. Chu Xiang was in her second year of high school. The next semester was almost over. Her class wasn't the school's elite class, but this school was ranked in the top 3 of Beijing's private high schools. The ordinary class was much better than most high schools. When Chu Xiang walked into the class, the students leaning against the window had all returned to their seats and started their morning reading. The sound of studying in her class quieted down. When everyone saw her, they all recalled her gloomy appearance. She was like a psychopath, which made people's hair stand on end. Now that they saw her calmly walk back to her seat, they didn't feel that she was different from the others. Everyone thought carefully. What was she like in the past? They didn't seem to have any impression of her. Every time she appeared, her head was lowered. No one knew what she was like. Zhang Qi was the class monitor, and he was interested in Chu Xiang. When he saw Chu Xiang come in, he poured her a cup of warm water and put it on her desk. He said with concern, "Chu Xiang, are you okay? I thought you would ask for leave to rest." Chu Xiang took the book and said, "The teachers in my original school were very poor. The learning difficulty here is much worse. If I delay, I will fall behind a lot. Of course, I have to come to class." The students didn't expect her to come for this reason. Zhang Qi asked again, "What about the doctor?" Chu Xiang was silent. Zhang Qi looked embarrassed. A boy in the corner sneered, "Class monitor, you shouldn't ask this. Do you want her to be okay or not?" He was insinuating that Chu Xiang went to the hospital to act pitiful. A few students laughed along. Chu Xiang didn't lower her head as usual. She didn't refute them. Instead, she found the classical Chinese text to memorize and began to read it carefully. It was time for morning reading. Shouldn't she be reading well? What were they gossiping about? Now the people who laughed at her were embarrassed. They felt like clowns. She was studying well. What were they doing here? For a time, there was only the sound of the morning reading in the class. Chu Xian was wronged and cared about by the Chu family's parents. In the morning, they specially asked the kitchen to make a nourishing breakfast. They reminded her for a long time, so she was a little late to class. She was surprised to see Chu Xiang. She immediately walked over with a worried expression. "Sister, why are you discharged from the hospital? You don't feel well. You should rest well. I'll ask the driver to take you to the hospital. He shouldn't have gone far." Chu Xian took out her phone to make a call. Many students looked over and felt that the contrast between the two was too big. Chu Xian was still so concerned about Chu Xiang after such a thrilling incident. It was true that people who were kind were bullied. Chu Xian said to herself. She thought that Chu Xiang would show an expression of resistance as usual. However, Chu Xiang raised her head and looked back and forth at her as if she didn't know her. Chu Xian was stunned. "Sister, why are you looking at me like that?" Chu Xiang looked puzzled. She looked at her again. "Nothing. I'm just curious. Haven't you been bullied by me? I cut your uniform, destroyed your thesis, and even pushed you into the water. No one can tolerate such vicious behavior, right? Why are you still in front of me?" Chu Xian was stunned again. She quickly said, "No, I didn't." "It's not yours." Chu Xiang interrupted her. "Weren't you the one who begged my classmates not to spread these things and not let mom and dad know?" Chu Xian had thought about this problem. She pursed her lips and smiled reluctantly with a hint of grievance. "A lot of people were you. Actually, it doesn't matter. I didn't do anything. I didn't want mom and dad to worry about these things." Wang Shasha got up and walked to Chu Xian. Enough. Chu Xiang. Are you sick in the head for being so eccentric? Let's go, Xian Xian. Don't bother with her. Chu Xiang clapped her hands. Why do I feel that something is wrong? This is how Wang Shasha should be reacting. If I've been bullying you, you should hate me very much. You don't even want to see me. Why do you care about me so sincerely? You begged for mercy for me just now because a lot of people said that I did it? TSK, then you must have begged for mercy because you believe what they said, right? If you don't believe it as a kind sister, shouldn't you do your best to protect my reputation and prove my innocence? Wang Shasha was dizzy. Chu Xiang, how thick-skinned are you? What reputation do you have? What innocence do you have? You bullied Xian Xian, and now you're blaming her for not covering up for you? No. I didn't do it. Why should I cover up? Chu Xiang crossed her arms and leaned against the back of the chair. She said calmly, you guys call me stupid behind my back and laugh at me for being ignorant. I think so too. The classroom quieted down. No one was reading anymore. Everyone was confused when they heard her admit that she was stupid and ignorant. They didn't know what she was talking about. Then Chu Xiang said, there's something I don't understand. Please help me analyze it. I know that no one saw me doing bad things. I won against a lot of people just because I went in and out of the classroom, the toilet, the changing room, and the swimming pool. Chu Xian, as a victim, believed the words of a lot of people and didn't pursue the matter. She even begged for mercy for me. Of course, she begged for mercy because she believed that I did it, right? Otherwise, why would she deliberately beg for mercy and make everyone misunderstand me? Since she believed that I was the one who did all these bad things, why did she care about me so wholeheartedly, and without any ill feelings? Is it because she's kind? Are all the children of rich families so kind? You don't care about someone who bullied you and almost drowned you? Chu Xiang had to be clear. She laid out the cause and effect in a clear and organized manner. All the students thought along with her words. Yes, Chu Xiang bullied Chu Xian again and again. Chu Xian didn't owe her anything. Why wasn't she angry? Why was she so concerned about her? If it were any other time, their first reaction would be to lament that Chu Xian was too kind. However, when Chu Xiang said that they were the children of rich families, she put them together with Chu Xian. They subconsciously put themselves in her shoes and immediately rejected her. If someone dared to treat them like this, they would have hated them. Even if they exchanged identities, so what if they were real and fake? It was the hospital's fault, not theirs. Why was Chu Xian so generous? Was she a saint? Chu Xian also thought of this. Her heart skipped a beat. She wanted to show her kindness. Moreover, if she had a conflict with Chu Xiang, there wouldn't be so many people who would sympathize with her. This method had always been effective. Why was it that Chu Xiang had suddenly broken it apart and covered it with a veil of hypocrisy? Just as they thought of this, Chu Xiang asked doubtfully, is there a saint? It meant that no matter how much others had done to her, she would not be calculative and would be magnanimous enough to forgive them. So is Chu Xian a saint? Saint wasn't a good word now. It sounded like she was scolding Chu Xian. However, it was the best interpretation of Chu Xian's various actions. All the students' eyes fell on Chu Xian. Chu Xiang spoke before Chu Xian again. Chu Xian, every time you say I believe that sister didn't do it to others, what are you thinking? Are you sincere? Or are you just saying it casually? You clearly believe that I did everything, so why are you doing this to your classmates? The saint should say, although sister has done so many wrong things, I don't blame her, right? You think it's me in your heart, but on the surface, it's not me. Aren't you calling that green TB *TCH? Chu Xiang. Bai Shasha was thinking about Chu Xiang's words, but the word green TB *TCH woke her up. She immediately glared at Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang said innocently, what's wrong? I'm just expressing my doubts. Is this behavior not green TB *TCH? Then what is it called? Pretending to be a white lotus? Don't you think I'm stupid? Can't I ask my classmates for advice? Chu Xiang looked at her for a few seconds. She was surrounded by classmates, so she didn't dare to look at them again. She blinked and tears fell down. Sister. Chu Xiang, I've used your identity for 17 years. I always feel like I owe you. Mom and Dad took me in as an adopted daughter. I was afraid that you would feel uncomfortable. I thought that you needed time to adapt, so I didn't care about what you did." Chu Xiang didn't allow her to leave. She clapped her hands in realization. "So that's how it is. You're magnanimous enough to let me have my way. You're indeed the child of a wealthy family. You're much more magnanimous than me. I'm a very vengeful person. If someone makes me unhappy, I'll definitely make them even more unhappy. I can't repay evil with good and endure all the grievances like you." Chu Xiang frowned slightly and shrugged. "But I really didn't do those so-called bad things. Every time I wanted to explain it to everyone, but before I could, you would plead on my behalf. I didn't even have a chance. Today I'll be serious. I didn't do those things. If I did, I would have the guts to admit it. If you really feel like you owe me, I hope that you, as my sister, can trust me more when I encounter such things in the future. Don't believe those who sow discord at the first instance. It's hard for a family to go on without trust. I hope that you can at least say a few good words for me. Trust your family and don't believe irrelevant outsiders. Otherwise, I'll be misunderstood and hated by my classmates and parents. I really can't adapt to my new identity. After all, I never thought that returning to my own family would be such a painful thing." Chu Xian felt that everything was wrong now. If she believed Chu Xiang, then what did she mean by pleading for her before? If she didn't believe Chu Xiang, then wasn't her concern for Chu Xiang and her kindness to Chu Xiang fake? Otherwise, without real evidence, why didn't she believe Chu Xiang? Chu Xian's tears fell freely. Compared to Chu Xiang's strength, it seemed that she was bullied by Chu Xiang again. Under Chu Xiang's fallacious reasoning, she didn't dare to say anything. Wang Shasha held her wrist and frowned. "Crazy. It's all sophistry. Xian, don't pay attention to her. Stay away from her in the future." Wang Shasha, as a good friend, protected Chu Xian as usual. She pulled Chu Xian to the bathroom and broke the awkward situation. However, Wang Shasha didn't have the same confidence as before. She didn't know why she was a little weak. In the bathroom, she was still thinking about Chu Xiang's words. Was Chu Xian a saint? Because she felt guilty about being the adopted daughter of the Chu family, she tolerated Chu Xiang again and again? Then she should forgive her. Why did she still believe that Chu Xiang didn't do it? Wang Shasha remembered that Chu Xiang wanted to sue her for slander. She asked Chu Xian to expose Chu Xiang's true colors, but Chu Xian didn't say anything. Chu Xian's tolerance for Chu Xiang had no bottom line. She could even abandon her friends? This was too inconceivable. Even Wang Shasha was tricked by Chu Xiang, let alone others. It just happened that the morning reading time was over. The students in the class were either talking loudly or going out to talk. They were all talking about the question raised by Chu Xiang. Wasn't it cheap to get close to the person who bullied her again and again? She didn't believe her own sister and believed the doubts of her classmates. She was like a plastic sister. It was okay to feel that you owed her everything and to repay evil with good, but wasn't it a bit too fake to care about her so sincerely? The most important thing was, did no one really see Chu Xiang do bad things with their own eyes? Chu Xiang was so confident that she didn't do it. Was she blind because there was no evidence, or was there someone else who did it? If there was someone else who did it and hid it so well, wasn't it too scary? Chu Xiang's words disturbed the hearts of the class, making them unable to concentrate as much as usual. From time to time, their eyes drifted to Chu Xiang and Chu Xian. This made them notice that Chu Xiang was very serious in class. She was really serious in class. It was as if she was thirsty for knowledge. Every time the bell rang, Chu Xiang would be the first to rush to the teacher and ask questions. Some of the students in the front row had sharp eyes. They found that Chu Xiang's thick notebook actually recorded the questions of various subjects that she didn't understand. The questions weren't very difficult, but Chu Xiang's previous school wasn't good. It was normal that she couldn't keep up. What was surprising was that no matter which subject the question was, as long as the teacher explained it to her once, she would be able to draw inferences about other subjects. Several teachers praised her. Sitting behind Chu Xiang was the class's study committee member, Yang Xueqing. Her skin was very white, and she was on the chubby side. She didn't participate in the gossip and only liked to study. She was the first in class. When Chu Xiang asked the homeroom teacher about the questions after class, the homeroom teacher called Yang Xueqing's name because of time constraints. If Chu Xiang didn't understand anything, she asked Yang Xueqing to ask her. Yang Xueqing had been sitting behind Chu Xiang for 3 months. Her impression of Chu Xiang was that she was a person of few words and rarely raised her head. She didn't see Chu Xiang's face clearly, so naturally, she didn't say much. Today, Chu Xiang spoke so much all of a sudden, which made her particularly surprised. When she explained the questions to Chu Xiang, she personally experienced Chu Xiang's intelligence. She couldn't help but ask, "You learn very fast. If you were so studious when you just transferred, you wouldn't be last in the first 2 monthly exams." Chu Xiang calculated the questions while saying, "I'm from the local area. It's the first time I've seen such a good school, such a good desk, such good teachers and classmates. I'm nervous and afraid that I'll be a joke if I don't do well. I don't dare to communicate with the teachers and classmates. I also don't dare to ask questions that I don't understand." The students nearby pretended to be reading and listening to her. Yang Xueqing asked again, "Then why are you today?" Yang Xueqing was one of the very few people in the class who had never spoken ill of Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang smiled at her. "Because I stopped breathing yesterday. At that time, the feeling was very scary. It was as if the whole world was getting farther and farther away from me, and I would never come back. I thought I was going to die. At that time, the only thought in my mind was..." Chu Xiang paused for a moment. The students' curiosity was piqued. 3 to 5 students asked in unison, "What is it?" "It was that I finally had such a good teacher. Why didn't I study hard? Studying can change one's life." Everyone thought that she would say something mysterious and bizarre. Even the students who were a little further away were listening attentively. In the end, they heard a sudden chicken soup. What the hell was regretting that she didn't study hard? She thought of this when she was about to die? Wang Shasha looked at her clothes and disdainfully looked away. "You're really good at making things up. In this world, who can change their life so much like you?" Chu Xiang nodded. "That's right. If the hospital 17 years ago didn't make a mistake, I could have studied with a good teacher since kindergarten. I could also learn the best etiquette, make the best friends, and be a white and tender princess. That hospital really changed my life. All I can do now is to study hard." She smiled at Yang Xueqing. "Thank you for helping me with the questions." Before anyone could react to her words, she had already turned back to focus on the questions. The degree of concentration made it seem as if anyone who disturbed her study was unforgivable. No one could doubt her enthusiasm for studying. Wang Shasha wasn't criticized, but she felt even more depressed than being criticized. She thought that Chu Xiang had changed from a country bumpkin to a rich young lady. She had changed so much and still wanted to study. How hypocritical. However, after hearing Chu Xiang's words, she felt that it was right. If the two families didn't make a mistake 17 years ago, Chu Xiang would be the apple of the Chu family's eye. She would be pampered and very happy, right? Chu Xiang had returned to her original position after becoming a rich young lady. There was nothing to mock. On the other hand, she only had to study now. It seemed that she had an inexplicable sense of loneliness. Chu Xiang keenly noticed that some of the students didn't reject Chu Xiang as much. She had worked hard for 3 months to make the students isolate Chu Xiang. Just like that, it was disintegrated by Chu Xiang's words. Damn it. She didn't do anything rashly. Instead, she had been discreetly sizing up Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang suddenly became different. Was it really because she almost drowned? She believed that dying once would cause a huge change in people. However, there was another possibility. Could Chu Xiang have been reborn? She quickly denied this conjecture because she was the one who was reborn. In her previous life, the two families found out that the child was swapped when she was in her first year of university. At that time, she was studying in another city. Chu Xiang didn't go to school after graduating from high school. She worked very hard in Beijing. At first, the two families maintained the same status quo when the child was this old. They treated each other as if both sides had an additional daughter. However, The Chu family couldn't bear to see their biological daughter working so hard. Thus, they took extra care of Chu Xiang. Chu Xian could only go home during the winter and summer vacations. However, Chu Xiang and the Chu family became more and more frequent. When Chu Xian graduated and came back, Chu Xiang had already moved into the Chu family. She was officially recognized by the Chu family and had a good relationship with the Chu family. Chu Xian must have grown up and changed during the 4 years she was away from home. Her habits had also changed a little. When she returned home and lived with her parents, there was a period of adjustment. It seemed that Chu Xiang was closer to them and understood each other better. This made Chu Xian feel very uncomfortable. She directly asked Father Chu for a house and went out to live. As a result, every time she returned to the Chu family, she felt that Chu Xiang's relationship with her parents had improved. When she went to the Chun family, she couldn't stand Father Chun and Mother Chen's temper. She also hated their behavior of asking her for money. One time, she was chosen by a director and could act in a movie. However, her parents disagreed. The entertainment industry was too messy. She was very interested in it. In order to enter the entertainment industry, she had a fierce conflict with her parents. Later, she was busy with filming and didn't contact her parents much. She always felt that their feelings for each other wouldn't change after being together for so many years. So what if she made a scene? Would her parents care about this with their children? A few years later, she filmed one movie after another. She was busy with her own dreams and didn't think of caring about her parents. She only went home 3 or 5 times a year. She didn't even call them many times. However, Father Chen always asked her for money after she became famous. She returned it at first, but later, she refused to give it to them. Who knew that Father Chen was so shamelessly unfilial to the media? It was also exposed that she bought an ordinary house in the ordinary area for them. She lived in a big villa and let the 2 old people squeeze in the house. She couldn't explain it. She went to Father Chu for help. She was shocked to find that they were very alienated from her. All they cared about was their daughter, Chu Xiang. They even let Chu Xiang go to Chu Xiang to be the general manager of the Chu group. It seemed that they wanted to pave the way for Chu Xiang and give the whole Chu group to her. They even found an excellent fiancé for Chu Xiang. What about her? She went to Mrs. Chu and asked why they were so biased. But Mrs. Chu coldly told her that she had suffered too much when she entered the entertainment industry. Later, she even ignored her family and didn't care about them at all, which made them disappointed. She was originally an adopted daughter. When she grew up and wanted to fly, she felt that Father Chu was an obstacle. How could Father Chu be so kind to her? As for Chu Xiang, they felt sorry for Chu Xiang because she suffered in Father Chen's family. Of course, they had to compensate her. Chu Xiang was very considerate of them in the past few years. She especially cherished the fatherly and motherly love they gave her. She was very sensible and motivated. Who wouldn't like such a good child? A few years later, everything changed. Chu Xian's friends were the typical ones who relied on others' love. However, she didn't think so. She only felt that Chu Xiang was scheming enough. She knew how to curry favor with Father Chu and was willing to do anything for Father Chu's property. She would rather give up her personality and become what Father Chu liked the most. If Chu Xiang wasn't scheming, why didn't Father Chen ask for money from Chu Xiang but only her? With Father Chen's greedy nature, shouldn't he pester Chu Xiang, who had become a rich man's daughter? She was entangled in scandals and her career suffered a great blow. She couldn't get rid of Father Chen, and Father Chu couldn't save her. She could only watch as Chu Xiang got married happily, and her status in Father Chu became higher and higher. In the end, she took over Father Chu and owned the whole Chu family. What about her? Everyone knew that she had no background. Father Chu wouldn't protect her at all. She was no different from other actresses in the entertainment industry. She was arrogant and offended many people. These people often made trouble for her. Her life became worse and worse after she left Father Chu's protection. She tried to invest, but lost a lot of money, because she didn't know how to do anything else. She couldn't live a normal life. She had no choice but to continue to act. At least she could continue to live a more luxurious life. She went to Chu Xiang and begged Chu Xiang to return her parents to her. She remembered that Chu Xiang was very cold to her at that time. They are my parents. You have occupied their love for more than 20 years. You should be satisfied. Since you took the initiative to let them go, I won't give you any chance to take them away. She hated Chu Xiang at that time. She thought that everything that happened to her was caused by Chu Xiang. If Chu Xiang hadn't pretended to be good in front of Father and Mother Qin, how could Father and Mother Qin think that she was bad? She had quarreled with them before. Which time didn't they make up after? Who would care about these things in a family? Why did they feel bitterly disappointed in her? Because of Chu Xianglai. Unfortunately, she had no choice. In order to live a better life, she could only learn to compromise, smile, and even drink with them. She worked hard to study acting. She wanted to compete in her field of expertise. When the time came, she would appear in front of Father Chu and make them regret losing her. But she thought too simply. Even if she was a famous star, she wouldn't be able to shine in front of those business tycoons. When she was a little older, there were no more scripts for her to act in. She couldn't play the lead role. She struggled to get to the second-tier position, but that was where she stopped. Even if she honed her acting skills, she could only act as a supporting role for the popular stars. She had a few boyfriends, but none of them could accept her true nature and love her sincerely. By the time she was 40 years old, her career had begun to decline. Chu Xiang was like a bright diamond, becoming more and more dazzling. She never thought that she would be reborn after the plane crash. She was reborn to the time when she was just in her first year of high school. After she was happy, she immediately secretly investigated Chu Xiang's current situation. Then she became sensible and considerate. She became more and more intimate with Father Chu. She grew up in high school and became sensible. Some growth and changes were normal. Coupled with her good acting skills, no one doubted her and liked her more and more. She used a year and a half to make everyone believe in her new personality. Then, she found an opportunity to expose the mix-up between the two children. This matter couldn't be hidden forever, so she chose to use the most confident way to act out the script she wrote herself. She took the initiative to propose an exchange, which made her parents feel sorry for her. She didn't want the Chu family's money, which made the Chun family dissatisfied with her. She went to the hospital after taking a cold shower, which made Father Chu realize that the Chun family was a fire pit. They helped her break off her relationship with the Chun family and let her officially become the adopted daughter of the Chu family. At the same time, Father Chu's attention was always on her. They didn't have time to pay attention to Chu Xiang, who had just returned home. This made Chu Xiang feel uncomfortable in her new home. She made a fool of herself and became more reserved and unlikable. After that, she treated Chu Xiang very well on the surface, but in private, she framed Chu Xiang again and again. She made everyone believe that Chu Xiang was vicious and couldn't tolerate her. She could see that Father Chu's heart had been bitterly disappointed in Chu Xiang. After all, who would like such an annoying child? Chu Xiang was taught by the Chun family. They knew what kind of people the Chun family was, so they easily believed that Chu Xiang was the same as them. They couldn't help but feel happy. Chu Xian was confident that it wouldn't take long for her to drive Chu Xiang out of the Chu family. She would not give Chu Xiang a chance to grow. Without the guidance and care of the Chu family's parents, Chu Xiang would only feel more pressure under her suppression. It would be difficult for her to even take a step forward in school. She even deliberately framed Chu Xiang in school and made her classmates isolate Chu Xiang. This kind of isolation was terrible. For a teenage girl, it would be a nightmare that would affect her life. Everything was successful. Chu Xiang kept silent. She lowered her head more and more. She didn't smile and didn't dare to speak. She was afraid of her and ostracized her. Who would like such a strange person? How could she learn something? How could she have a chance to take away the Chu group? Chu Xian had suffered too much in her previous life. The happiest days of her life were those years in the Chu family. In her previous life, she had been watching Chu Xiang live happily and enjoy the glory of Chu Xiang. So in this life, she wanted to drive Chu Xiang away and walk on the path that Chu Xiang walked on. She wanted a happy marriage. She wanted to be the head of the Chu group. She wanted to live in the upper-class circle and be respected. As long as she got rid of Chu Xiang, She didn't have to be afraid of anything. But Chu Xiang suddenly changed. Chu Xian carefully observed Chu Xiang's eyes, expressions and habits of speech. She was very sure that she was not the successful Chu Xiang in her previous life. Chu Xian had acted in a time travel drama before. She even suspected that Chu Xiang had been time traveled. But she observed more than half of it. Chu Xiang adapted well here. She didn't look like a person who had just time traveled. She also noticed that Chu Xiang put her hands under the table and pinched the hem of her clothes. This was Chu Xiang's habit of thinking. She had observed for a while. Even this habit hadn't changed. This Chu Xiang was still the Chu Xiang of the past. So Chu Xiang suddenly changed because she had almost drowned? It was very reasonable to think about it this way. In her previous life, Chu Xiang could become the president of the Chu group. Chu Xiang's ability to accept things was very fast, and she was very strong in her bones. Although she had been suppressed by her for 3 months in this life, Chu Xiang didn't care about everything around her and only focused on her studies. It seemed normal that she wanted to change her life. The drowning incident accidentally allowed Chu Xiang to break through the shadow cage that she had built for Chu Xiang. That was all. Chu Xian was very regretful. If she had known, she wouldn't have framed Chu Xiang and pushed her. It was an important matter that would disappoint the Chu parents, but it actually became an opportunity for Chu Xiang to change. If Chu Xiang really broke through the cocoon and became a butterfly, she would definitely regret it to death. Chu Xian kept thinking about how to suppress Chu Xiang. She wasn't too anxious. After all, she had lived a lifetime longer than Chu Xiang. She didn't believe that Chu Xiang could beat her, so she was still calm. After the evening self-study session, Chu Xiang was the first to stand up. A few students nearby subconsciously looked up and noticed that her face was a little pale. She didn't seem to be in good spirits. Chu Xiang picked up a stack of papers and stuffed them into her school bag as she walked out. She accidentally bumped into a student who was bending over to pick up a pen cover. Her school bag fell to the ground, and the papers scattered all over the floor. "What are you doing? Are you in a hurry to reincarnate?" The student in front was hurt and subconsciously said, "I'm sorry. I'm not feeling well, and I need to go to the hospital." Chu Xiang picked up the papers and walked out with her school bag. When the student heard that Chu Xiang was going to the hospital, he didn't say anything. Looking at Chu Xiang's appearance, he felt that she was really not feeling well. The student bent over to pick up the pen cover. Just as she was about to stand up, she suddenly found a few pieces of white paper under her desk. "What paper is this?" she muttered as she picked it up. It was Chu Xiang's medical report. Chapter 233. Yunnan picked up Chu Xiang's medical report, grabbed her bag, and chased after her. But it was after school and there were students everywhere. She didn't even see Chu Xiang. She opened her classmates' WeChat group, found Chu Xiang's WeChat, and added her as a friend. She waited for a few minutes, but there was no response. She asked the class leader for Chu Xiang's phone number, but her phone was turned off. She looked at the medical report in her hand, and thought that if Chu Xiang needed it urgently, she would definitely be able to contact her. If she didn't need it urgently, it would be the same. Yunnan went home and threw her bag on the sofa as usual. She saw her neighbor Dong Fei and asked casually, "What are you doing here? Are you freeloading?" "Yeah, I'm here to freeload. My parents are on a business trip, and it's boring to eat alone. Also, I'm here to photocopy some papers. I had a stomachache today and didn't go to school. Can you lend me your papers?" Dong Fei opened Yunnan's bag. Their classes were next to each other, and they had the same teacher and homework. Yunnan ignored her and went upstairs to change her clothes. As soon as she entered her bedroom, she heard a cry of surprise. "Yunnan, why did you go to the hospital for a medical checkup? Stomach problems? Malnutrition? Who has stomach problems? Who went to the hospital?" Yunnan hurried downstairs and saw Dong Fei opening the medical report. Yunnan's mother came in with a worried face. Yunnan grabbed the medical report and pointed to the name at the top of the first page. "It's not me. Look carefully, it's not me. It's the medical report behind me." Yunnan's mother was relieved and asked curiously, "Who's behind you? Why do you have the medical report? Dongfei was very surprised. Isn't Chu Xiang behind you? I remember that you don't have a good relationship with her. She rushed to the hospital right after school and bumped into me. She dropped a lot of things on the floor and missed them when she was picking them up. Maybe she'll need them later. Yunnan explained briefly and frowned. Did you say that she's malnourished? Yunnan had lived in a wealthy environment since she was young. This word had never been related to them. She would never have thought that Chu Xiang would be involved. Hadn't she been taken back home for 3 months? Dongfei nodded several times, a look of surprise on her face. Not only is he malnourished, but he's also covered in wounds. The report is so thick, maybe he has other problems. Hey, open it and take a look. Dongfei reached out to grab the medical report and flipped to the back. She even showed it to them. This is the description of the injury. It's an old scar. What was the meaning of this? She had been suffering from new injuries for more than 10 years, and her old injuries even left scars. Here. Frostbite on the hands and feet, chronic illness, low immunity, anemia. Why does Chu Xiang seem to be sick all over? What was the last one? Mental test? Normal mental state? Why was she testing this? Oh right, there's also a stomach problem, due to prolonged starvation. The more the three of them read, the more shocked they became. Dongfei was a little dumbfounded after reading it. She stared at Yunnan in disbelief. Where did she live before she returned to the Chu family? How? Yunnan was still in a daze. I don't know. How was she? She didn't pay attention to her. Yunnan's mother knew that there was a child in their class who was swapped, but she didn't expect the child to be so miserable. She took the medical report and flipped through it. She frowned. Yunnan, Dongfei, why did you say that you didn't have a good relationship with this girl just now? Her personality isn't good? She's not easy to get along with? Yunnan hesitated. No. Actually, there's nothing to do with our relationship. We didn't even talk to each other. The main thing is that she seems to be very timid. She always lowers her head and doesn't say anything. She can't answer the questions when the teacher asks her to. She doesn't interact with the other students in the class, so I didn't pay attention to her at all. Dongfei asked softly, doesn't she always bully Chu Xian? Why doesn't it sound like it? Yunnan shook her head and sat on the sofa. She didn't look too good. Today we're talking about this. Chu Xiang has never done anything bad, and no one has seen it with their own eyes. It's just a suspicion. It's as if she has been convicted. I used to find it strange. She looks so brave, but why does she always do bad things behind our backs like a pervert? If she didn't do it, it seems reasonable. She's still in the class today. If she really bullies Chu Xian, why does Chu Xian always get close to her? She asked Chu Xian if she was a saint. She didn't act like a saint, but more like a green TB*TCH. Dongfei was stunned. You're not saying that she's brave? She called Chu Xian a green TB*TCH in front of everyone? Didn't Chu Xian hit her? No. That's strange. If someone did that to me, I would have dealt with her long ago. Chu Xian seems to have no bottom line. Repaying evil with good? Yunnan couldn't understand. If Chu Xiang and Chu Xian really feel that they owe her, the next time someone wronged her, Chu Xian should defend her. She shouldn't apologize on her behalf and beg others not to spread the news when there's no evidence. Dongfei wrung her hands and said, I shouldn't have asked for leave today. I missed such an exciting confrontation. Chu Xian has always been a B*TCH. I don't believe that she's so kind and beautiful. With their awkward identities, how can she be sincere to Chu Xiang? Is she crazy? Yunnan's mother was a little worried about her daughter's learning environment and asked a few more questions. Dongfei loved to gossip and immediately told Yunnan's mother what she knew. Unexpectedly, Yunnan's mother laughed as she listened. Dongfei was surprised. Auntie, why are you laughing? Are my words that funny? Yunnan's mother laughed and waved her hand. No, I just think that you kids are too naive. Chu Xiang has been doing bad things since she transferred to your school. She's been hated and isolated. She hasn't gotten any benefits. Chu Xian, on the other hand, might have been looked down upon by many people after her identity was exposed, but now she has gained everyone's sympathy and pity. She hasn't lost anything and is living a better life than before. Isn't it obvious who's the winner and the loser? She's not even 17 years old. Who would be so stupid to keep doing things that make her life difficult? Yunnan looked puzzled. Mom, do you believe that Chu Xiang didn't do it? Then who did it? I don't know. However, I don't think that Chu Xian is really kind. You should stay away from her. Remember to return the medical report to Chu Xiang later. You guys have fun. I'm going to change. After Yunnan's mother figured out that this matter wasn't a threat to her daughter, she stopped chatting with them. Anyway, her daughter had always been carefree and had nothing to do with these things. This time she guessed wrong. Yunnan was the one who saved Chu Xiang from the swimming pool. She saw Chu Xiang die with her own eyes. If she hadn't seen the medical report today, she wouldn't have rushed out immediately for fear of delaying Chu Xiang's treatment. At that time, Chu Xiang's face was pale and she stopped breathing. She was so shocked that she didn't even dare to reach out to touch Chu Xiang. Xiaoyan pushed her away and gave Chu Xiang CPR. Only then did she come back to her senses. However, after Chu Xiang woke up, she began to blame herself and was afraid. Xiaoyan saved Chu Xiang, which meant that Chu Xiang could be saved. She was stunned when she saw Chu Xiang die. If Xiaoyan hadn't been there, wouldn't she have missed the best time to save her? She felt that she almost killed Chu Xiang. After returning home, she saw that some people in the group were criticizing Chu Xiang, so she said a few words of justice. However, there were more than 20 people in the group who thought that Chu Xiang was bad. She was too lazy to argue with them. Today, she wanted to ask Chu Xiang how she was, but they had never talked before. She didn't know how to ask for a moment. Chu Xiang was also very busy. Other than going to class, she was busy. She didn't expect that the first sentence they said would be a casual complaint about her being bumped into. Now she saw Chu Xiang's medical report. The report was very detailed. The description of the injury was as exaggerated as a movie, but it was all true. She felt a little uncomfortable, but she didn't know why. Dongfei touched her. Hey, what are you thinking about? What's wrong? Yunnan frowned slightly. So many people feel sorry for Chu Xian. She has suffered so much. Compared to this, Chu Xian should have suffered these. Dongfei thought about the injury of more than 10 years and shuddered. It's terrible. Could it be that Chu Xiang's biological parents abused her? Then they are actually enemies. It's not strange that Chu Xiang did those things. Chu Xian took advantage of those kinds of fights. No, if Chu Xiang could do those things, would her body be ruined like this? I heard that the Chu family doesn't like Chu Xiang. It's interesting. They don't like their biological daughter. Do they want to leave the Chu family to Chu Xian? Then the Chu family will be surnamed Chen in the future, won't it? Dongfei couldn't stop laughing. She felt that the behavior of the Chu couple was very funny. Was the Chu family, which they worked hard to build for a lifetime, going to be changed to Chen's? Yunnan didn't laugh all the time. Later, she was often absent-minded when doing homework. She wanted to say something to Chu Xiang, but Chu Xiang's phone was turned off. She didn't accept her friend request. She couldn't study, so she searched the internet for news about the wrong child. There was nothing valuable in the news, but she found a lot of news. The two children who were swapped were against each other without exception. She thought carefully about Chu Xian's attitude and behavior. If she was not kind and beautiful, then she was too scheming. Since her mother didn't let her contact Chu Xian, she felt that Chu Xian might be too scheming, and Chu Xiang might be the innocent one who was wronged. She didn't even sleep that night. Her mind was in a mess, and he didn't know what she was thinking. After throwing the medical report out, Chu Xiang went to the best hospital in Jing City. She had made an appointment with a specialist the day before. It was convenient to do anything with money. She still chose the best ward and asked a nurse to take care of her in the hospital. The contents of the medical report were all true. The original owner had suffered too much in the Chen family. She didn't dare to go back to the Chu family. The Chu family's attention was on Chu Xian and no one cared about her. Now she really needed to take good care of her body. Chu Xiang sat on the hospital bed, doing her homework while receiving an 4 drip. These things were very easy for her, but the original owner's grades were average. She was the last in the class for the first 2 exams. If she wanted to do well in the exams, She had to pretend in advance. Students should study hard. Everyone liked excellent students. She ate well and lived well in the hospital. There were senior nurses to take care of her. She didn't talk to anyone when she turned off her phone. Of course, she didn't contact the Chu family either. Chu Xian's parents were angry when they saw her coming home alone after school. They were even angrier when they heard that Chu Xiang went to the hospital. Chu Xian told them in the morning that Chu Xiang went to school. Didn't it mean that she could go to school? Why did she go to the hospital? Did she want to go against them? Or did she not want to stay in this family anymore? Chu Xian's mother immediately asked the servant to call Chu Xiang and the hospital. However, Chu Xiang turned off her phone. Chu Xiang had been discharged from the hospital. She didn't go back to the hospital. Chu Xiang couldn't be found at home. Chu Xian's mother said angrily. Did she go to a hotel? She did such a thing and still dares to be stubborn with us. She is getting more and more outrageous. Chu Xian's father said thoughtfully. Is it possible that Chu Xiang didn't dare to go home because she made a mistake? Xian, did your sister do anything to you at school? Did she apologize? Chu Xian shook her head. Chu Xian's father naturally thought that Chu Xiang didn't care about Chu Xian at all. He said coldly, she grew up with people like the Chun family. Her character has been taught wrong. She can't change even after 3 months of discipline. I think we should let her drop out of school. We should hire a teacher to teach her at home. She can only go out when she has changed her character. Otherwise, she will cause trouble outside and embarrass herself. Chu Xian's heart skipped a beat. Chu Xiang pushed her into the water. Her father still refused to drive her away? He still wanted to hire a teacher to teach her? If Chu Xiang was given a quiet learning environment, with Chu Xiang's ability, would she rise again? By then, would her parents appreciate Chu Xiang and like Chu Xiang again? Was blood so important? So important that Chu Xiang's father didn't give up on her even after she had made so many mistakes, such as stealing and hurting people? Chu Xian pursed her lips and said worriedly, the most important thing now is to find my sister. It's not safe for her to be alone outside. Actually, I can understand how she feels. She must be very unhappy to see someone she hates every time she comes home. If it were me, I wouldn't want to go home either. How about, Dad, Mom, I'll move out. I'll live nearby. This way, if you miss me, I'll come to see you. My sister won't see me when she comes home. She won't be so harsh then. No need. If she can't even accept this, how can she survive when she enters society and faces all kinds of unfair treatment in the future? Chu Xian's father waved his hand. Xian, you are a good child. You are more sensible than your sister. You just need to study hard. Don't think about these things. I will teach her a lesson. Chu Xian's mother also held Chu Xian's hand and said, silly child, what are you thinking about? Don't mention moving out again. The last time you moved to the Chen family's house, you had a high fever and almost scared me to death. This is your home. You should be happy. Don't worry about Chu Xiang. She just doesn't have anyone to discipline her. I will find a few teachers to teach her. In the future, if she bullies you again, you must tell me immediately. Don't give in to her. Chu Xian's father still had work to do. He took a sip of tea and said, well, since Chu Xiang can go to school today, it's okay. She has money in her card. She can stay in a hotel. Let her calm down and think about it. If the family ignores her, she will naturally panic. When the time comes, she will take the initiative to go home. Since Chu Xian's father had spoken, Chu Xian's mother and Chu Xian didn't say anything. No one mentioned Chu Xiang again. It was just because of her that the atmosphere in the family had been bad, which made them very upset. Their life used to be good. Why did such a big change happen? It was good to have 2 daughters at home. Couldn't they be twins? Why did they have to make so many troubles? If only Chu Xiang could be as sensible as Chu Xian. Chu Xiang didn't care about what was going on outside the window in the hospital. After finishing her homework, she went to bed. She was in poor health and couldn't cultivate. She had to have enough sleep to make trouble. Chu Xian had set her up as a vicious female supporting character. She liked this character too much. It was completely in line with her nature. If she didn't show Chu Xian what a vicious person was, She would be letting down Chu Xian's meticulous scheming. The next morning, Chu Xiang drank nutritious porridge and went to school with great anticipation. It had been a long time since she met someone like Chu Xian who was so stubborn. She must play more and add some fun to her life. The first student in the class was Yunnan. She sat in her seat and read a book. In fact, she didn't pay attention to a single word. From time to time, she touched her school bag, which contained Chu Xiang's medical report. It was just a few pages, but it seemed to weigh 1,000 pounds. It reminded her of Chu Xiang's lifeless face. When Chu Xiang walked into the class, Yunnan's body tensed up. When she sat down, she immediately turned around and handed Chu Xiang an exercise book. She said, "Your book fell on the floor." She flipped the book and closed it when no one was looking. Chu Xiang looked at the book and then at Yunnan. It was just a medical report. Why did she make it sound like a spy meeting? Xiaoyan also looked over. However, he was always expressionless. His eyes were indifferent, so no one would notice if he saw it or not. Chu Xiang smiled. She took the book and put it in the hole under the desk. "Thank you." It was the first time Yunnan saw Chu Xiang smile. Although she was a little dark and her skin wasn't very good, her facial features were very good-looking. She was quite pretty when she smiled. Why did she always lower her head in the past? She wanted to turn back, but Chu Xiang suddenly said, "Were you the one who saved me from the swimming pool? I was in a daze and couldn't recognize you." "Yes, it was me." Speaking of this, Yunnan's mood was very low. She looked at Chu Xiang and said seriously, "I'm sorry. I was scared. When I was doing CPR, I felt that you were not breathing, so I stopped. The one who really saved you was Xiaoyan. Fortunately, he was calm enough and his actions were very accurate. Otherwise, I might have killed you." She didn't have the chance to say sorry, but she just said sorry. Yunnan was a straightforward person and couldn't hide her feelings. After she came out, she felt relieved. Then, she looked at Chu Xiang nervously and waited for her reply. Chu Xiang was stunned. She left the medical report with Yunnan, because she knew that Yunnan had a best friend who loved to gossip. Moreover, these two people didn't hate the original owner of the body. They were people who might stand on her side. However, she didn't expect that Yunnan would feel guilty and think that she almost killed her. She smiled. "Yunnan, you don't have to be sorry. If you didn't save me from the swimming pool, I wouldn't have survived. In that situation, I would be scared too. It's normal. I don't blame you. Thank you for saving me." And Xiaoyan? Chu Xiang looked at Xiaoyan, who was expressionless and silent. "Thank you. Can I treat you to lunch? I almost died. The first thing I saw when I woke up was you guys. You guys gave me a new life. I hope to have a chance to thank you." Yunnan subconsciously wanted to refuse, but changed her mind. Chu Xiang always ate alone in school. If she was rejected, wouldn't she be sad? "Okay, let's have lunch together." Xiaoyan didn't react at all. It was as if he didn't hear anything. However, Chu Xiang noticed that his hand holding the pen tightened. He was a little nervous. This person was probably a little autistic and didn't know how to communicate with others. She took it that he agreed. Anyway, she had to thank him for saving her life. She still wanted to take the opportunity to cause trouble. She turned around and asked Yang Xueqing, "Do you want to eat together? You helped me with so many questions. You helped me a lot. I want to thank you. Otherwise, I would be embarrassed to ask you questions in the future. There's a restaurant that serves delicious food. Let's order takeout at noon. We can eat delicious food." Yang Xueqing loved eating delicious food. Moreover, she was a committee member. The teacher told her to take care of Chu Xiang. Hearing Chu Xiang agree, it didn't matter who she ate with. All of a sudden, Chu Xiang invited the 3 people closest to her. The other students nearby were a little surprised. She had really changed. Not only did she talk to her classmates openly, she even treated them to a meal to thank them and even smiled. It seemed that the drowning shock had really touched her. Did she think it through and stop making things difficult for Chu Xian in the future? That was good. There wouldn't be so much trouble in class. The first class started. Although there were still discussions about Chu Xiang's change, the students were more concerned about their studies. Moreover, Chu Xiang was very focused on her studies. Anyone who saw her felt that they should stop gossiping and focus on their studies. Chu Xian had just been called a saint by Chu Xiang, so she didn't go near Chu Xiang. She lowered her presence and secretly observed Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang suddenly became sharp-tongued. Her previous tricks didn't work, and she felt a sense of crisis. She was afraid that Chu Xiang would become as powerful as she was in her previous life. She paid close attention to Chu Xiang's every move, and didn't have the slightest interest in studying. However, she didn't care. In her previous life, she lived in her early 40s and had long passed the stage of studying. It was really difficult for her to calm down and study hard now. The Chu family had a big business. What she needed to learn was the business of the company. Her grades in school weren't important. The class was peaceful. At noon, Chu Xiang asked them to go to the cafeteria together. Xiaoyan sat on the chair and didn't move. Chu Xiang pulled him up by his sleeve and looked at him with a smile. Xiaoyan, let's go together. You can eat anywhere. You gave me a new life. I must thank you. The students nearby looked over in surprise. Xiaoyan was never talkative and didn't interact with others. His lunch was sent to him by his family's chauffeur. He would only find a stone table and stone bench outside to eat. He was so cold and aloof that it was a little scary. Where did Chu Xiang get the courage to pull him? Chu Xiang seemed to have thought of something. She clapped her hands and said, "Since you don't like to go to the cafeteria, let's go to the pavilion to eat. Is that okay?" Yunnan and Yang Xueqing, who were asked, agreed. Chu Xiang pulled Xiaoyan's sleeve again. "Let's go together." Everyone thought that Xiaoyan would ignore Chu Xiang, who knew that he would actually follow her out. Yang Xueqing's deskmate pinched herself in disbelief. She stared at Xiaoyan and Chu Xiang's backs with wide eyes. Yang Xueqing was amused by his action. She took her English vocabulary book and followed Chu Xiang with Yunnan. Dong Fei came out from the next class and bumped into them. She was stunned when she saw Chu Xiang's pale face. Then she smiled and greeted Yunnan. "Nan, let's go and eat." Yunnan nodded and pointed at Chu Xiang. "Let's eat together today. You go and find your classmate." Dong Fei glanced at them quickly. She was surprised to find that Xiaoyan, the ice-cold man, was walking side by side with Chu Xiang. It was obvious that they were eating together. This was a big gossip. Chu Xiang suddenly hanging out with someone else was also a big gossip. How could she miss it? Dong Fei immediately held Yunnan's hand and smiled. I'll go too. The more the merrier. Let's eat together." Yunnan frowned and pushed her away. Before she could say anything, Chu Xiang turned around and looked at them with envy. "Yunnan, is this your friend? You have such a good relationship. Let's eat together. The more the merrier." Dong Fei said happily. Nan, look. Chu Xiang is like this. Let's eat together." "Oh yes, what are we eating?" Yunnan said. Chu Xiang ordered takeout. "We're not going to the canteen. Let's eat at the pavilion on the east side." Dong Fei's eyes lit up. "Okay. There are not many people there, and the scenery is good. We can chat after eating. It's so boring to study. Let's go outside and relax before coming back." Yunnan knew that she wanted to gossip from her expression. She regretted agreeing to let her stay. However, in front of Chu Xiang and the rest, she could not chase her away. She took out her phone and sent her a WeChat message. "Don't ask questions later. Shut up and eat." "How can I eat if I shut up?" "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing." Yunnan thought to herself. "What do you mean? You're just paparazzi material." She saw that Dong Fei had put away her phone. Obviously, she was not going to leave. She thought to herself that she should be more careful later. She could always stop talking about inappropriate topics. The takeout Chu Xiang ordered arrived on time. She ordered 6 dishes and a soup. The dishes were not big, and were just enough for the 5 of them. The stone table in the pavilion was round, and there were 5 stone stools around it. They sat in a circle. Chu Xiang scooped a bowl of soup and placed it in front of Xiaoyan. The 3 girls immediately looked at Xiaoyan. They were a little hesitant to remind Chu Xiang that Xiaoyan did not interact with anyone, and did not eat food given by others. Chu Xiang had only been here for 3 months. She might not know. Then they saw Chu Xiang smile at Xiaoyan. "I drank this soup yesterday. It's delicious. However, I'm not in good health and shouldn't drink too much. Try it. It's very appetizing. Xiaoyan looked up slightly. He seemed to be looking at the bowl of soup. However, from the corner of his eye, he saw Chu Xiang smile. Didn't she not talk or smile like him in the past? Why was she smiling so brightly now? His gaze fell on the soup. In silence, he picked up the spoon and took a sip under the shocked gazes of the three girls. Chu Xiang smiled even more happily. Isn't it delicious? Everyone try it. Chu Xiang took out a thermos flask and poured it into her bowl. When she saw everyone looking over, she smiled embarrassedly. I'm not eating this alone. I asked the hotel to make this medicinal cuisine for me. There's a lot of medicine in it. You can't drink it. They all knew about medicinal cuisine. The servants at home often made it, but it was rarely for them. They were only in their teens and were young and energetic. Who would eat medicinal cuisine when they were not sick or in pain? Young Xueqing thought about Chu Xiang's poor living environment in the past. She was not valued even after being recognized. She did not know if she understood these things. She said kindly, "All medicine is poisonous. This kind of thing must be used to treat the illness. Otherwise, it won't be able to nourish the body and will be harmful." Chu Xiang nodded. "Yes, I know. Don't worry. I asked a famous doctor to give me a prescription to supplement my nutrition." Dong Fei and Yunnan instantly thought of malnutrition. They looked at each other and felt a little strange. While they were being picky, their classmate was actually malnourished and had to drink this kind of soup that did not look good. Chu Xiang didn't even frown as she finished the medicinal soup. Then, she smiled and called for everyone to eat. She looked very cheerful and cheerful. It was the first time Dong Fei had been so close to Chu Xiang. She had been observing her. After a while, she could not help but look at her. "Chu Xiang, you're different from everyone else. You're quite lively." Chu Xiang hummed. "I know that everyone must find it strange. Actually, it's nothing. I just figured out one thing in the hospital. As long as one is alive, one must be happy. Who knows which one will come first, the truth or the accident? I don't care what the people around me think of me anymore. I just want to make myself happier in the future, and live every day as if it's my last." "Live every day as if it's your last?" Dong Fei repeated this sentence. They all understood why Chu Xiang had changed so much. If she really treated every day as her last, what else was important? Of course, her own happiness was the most important. They thought about it. If it were them, they would definitely have endless courage and do many things that they wanted to do but had not done in this last day. Wasn't this what Chu Xiang was doing now? The last day could make people brave, but it could also change people into a different person. Chu Xiang's smile made the few people who were not familiar with her slowly relax. When they mentioned that the hotel would make medicinal food for her, they reminded her. After all, the hotel is outside. It's not as safe and reliable as home. It's best to let the servants at home make medicine. Chu Xiang paused and shook her head. "I think the hotel's chef is more reliable." The three girls all looked at her. Although Xiaoyan lowered his head to eat, his eyes also moved in her direction. Dong Fei saw that Chu Xiang's expression was quite natural. It seemed that she did not mind this kind of thing too much, so she asked tentatively, "Why? Is your servant dishonest?" Chu Xiang thought for a moment. "Not really. She just hates me. Isn't it dangerous to let someone who hates me make medicine for me? Isn't it?" "Hates you?" The three girls showed a puzzled expression. Chu Xiang was the only elder sister in the Chu family. How dare the servants of the Chu family hate Chu Xiang? Chu Xiang explained in a timely manner. "It's just like in school. Don't many students hate me at school? They think I bullied Chu Xian. It's the same in the Chu family. Except for me, everyone thinks I bullied Chu Xian. After all, she lived there for 17 years. The servants must have feelings for her. Of course they hate me." "The servants did something to your food? How can they be so cruel?" Dong Fei's eyes widened because she suddenly remembered that Chu Xiang had been malnourished for 3 months. How could she be malnourished when she ate well in the Chu family? Did someone harm Chu Xiang? Chu Xiang hurriedly waved her hand. No, I don't understand. I made you misunderstand. I don't want them to do it because, well, I'm a little defensive. In the past, when I was in the Chen family, Mother Chen hated me very much. She thought that I was a jinx to them. There were a few times when she put something bad in my food, which made me vomit and have diarrhea. I thought that since the servants of the Chu family also hate me, I'd better not let them touch my medicine. She thought for a moment and said, but even if I asked them to make medicinal food, they probably wouldn't do it. I wanted to eat chicken porridge once, but they had already made the fish porridge that Chu Xian wanted to eat. They didn't want to make anything else by myself. I checked online. The servants of other families don't seem to do this. They probably don't want to make it for me. While she was talking, Yunnan and Dongfei kept thinking about the word malnutrition in their minds. They felt that the actual situation was probably worse than Chu Xiang's. Otherwise, how could she be malnourished? Yang Xueqing loved to eat delicious food the most since she was young. She had never thought that Chu Xiang, who came from a family similar to hers, would have no one to make her food. She even had to buy it outside. Moreover, her mother used to put something bad in Chu Xiang's food. It was too scary. She looked at the food in front of her and couldn't eat anymore. Yang Xueqing couldn't understand and asked, your parents didn't do anything? They didn't. They also hate me. They often asked me to reflect in my room and warned me not to bully Chu Xian. Only then did Chu Xiang's smile disappear. She sighed heavily. That's why I didn't go home for the past 2 days. Chu Xian fell into the water. I will definitely be punished, but I can't eat in my room. The doctor said that I couldn't skip meals anymore. There were 4 meals a day, so I had to eat more and less. I could only stay outside for a while and go back later. Dongfei was shocked. You're malnourished because of this? You were punished to not go out, but no one sent you food. Did your parents not know about this or condone it? Yang Xueqing and Xiaoyan looked at Dongfei at the same time. Yang Xueqing said in shock, malnourished? What malnourished? She knew these words, but why couldn't she understand when they appeared here? What did they have to do with malnourishment? Then, she saw that Chu Xiang was stunned for a moment before she smiled. You know? I don't know what my parents are thinking. Maybe they don't know about my physical condition and think that it's okay to punish me. The doctor has talked to me. I already know how bad my body is. It's okay to start recuperating now. Anyway, I can take care of my own body. It doesn't matter what they think. Punish me, confirmed their suspicions of the Chu couple. They must have deliberately punished Chu Xiang by not eating to teach her a lesson for being disobedient. However, they didn't expect that Chu Xiang was malnourished. Her body was so weak that she didn't even dare to go home now. But when it came to the fact that they didn't know, it was even more infuriating. Why didn't they know? A child who was wrongly adopted for 17 years grew up in that kind of family. Didn't they give her a checkup when they brought her back? What kind of parents were they? Dongfei drank a large glass of iced Coke to cool down. She couldn't care less about offending them. She looked at Chu Xiang seriously and asked, then have you bullied Chu Xian at home? Chu Xiang smiled. Not anywhere. Instead of me bullying her, why don't she bully herself and then make it seem like I bullied her? Chu Xiang added in her heart. She didn't bully Chu Xian in the past, but that might not be the case in the future. Chapter 234. The comprehension ability of the people present was not bad. Although Chu Xiang's words were a little roundabout, they instantly understood. Wasn't it just Chu Xian putting on an act to accuse Chu Xiang? Chu Xian actually did those things herself. This was a little beyond what they could accept. They actually had such a bad person around them. She pretended to be bullied and then framed others. She could even watch others being isolated and ostracized with a clear conscience. She even took the initiative to care for others out of kindness and innocence. Her hypocrisy was too scary. Dongfei raised her voice. She did it herself? She's been framing you all this time? She wants to ruin your new life and secure her position as Big Sister Chu? Chu Xiang raised her index finger to her lips and shushed her. She looked around and said, don't be so loud. No one will believe you. If others hear you, they will think that I've wronged her. She smiled embarrassedly. Actually, I don't know if you will believe me. It's just that after I came to this school, you are the only people who have shown me kindness. That's why I did it. The three girls were stunned when they heard this. Kindness? They at most didn't say anything bad about her to others and responded politely when she spoke. Was this considered showing her kindness? Wasn't her requirement too low? However, when they thought about how much their classmates hated Chu Xiang, they understood and felt sympathy for her. Xiaoyan also turned his gaze to Chu Xiang. They had been desk mates for 3 months, but he had never spoken to her. Other than performing CPR for her and today's lunch, there was no interaction between them. But, did she treat him as a friend who she could confide in? They didn't know whether to believe Chu Xiang or not, but for some reason, they felt that Chu Xiang was more trustworthy than Chu Xian. Dong Fei was puzzled. Is she the one who framed you every time? It's been so long, but you didn't get any evidence? Has no one ever doubted her? Chu Xiang nodded. No one doubted her. It was just like how not many people would believe that someone had stolen their own money. She's quite smart. The moment I appeared, she gave me a bad reputation. After that, no matter what happened, no one would believe me. I didn't know it was her, but one time, she suddenly fell down in front of me, and a lot of people came to accuse me of pushing her. She lowered her head and said, "No, I didn't mean to fall." She even shed tears. Then, when other people started to blame me, she wouldn't say anything, implying that I was the one who pushed her. It was only from that time that I realized why there were always strange crimes that fell on my head. Dong Fei gasped and her eyes widened. What the F***ck? This was too scheming. Have you told your parents? No, you must have told them. But they didn't believe you, right? Damn. Are they your biological parents? He actually didn't believe you. Yang Xueqing frowned thoughtfully. It's normal that they don't believe me. If others say that I did something bad, my parents definitely wouldn't believe it either. Although Chu Xian wasn't their biological daughter, she was still their biological daughter in their eyes. After all, they had raised her up and had a deep relationship with her. Chu Xiang just came back, so she's still a stranger to them. Yunnan was stunned. Why are you defending them? Yang Xueqing hurriedly waved her hand. Don't misunderstand. I'm not defending them. I'm just analyzing rationally. They don't deserve to be her parents. Their biological daughter who had been separated from them for 17 years is back. They should have paid more attention to her. If they cared enough about Chu Xiang, they would have noticed that something was wrong. That's right. If they cared a little, they would have given Chu Xiang food to eat. Chu Xiang was malnourished and had gastric problems. Yunnan's face was full of anger. Chu Xiang, you should question them and slap them in the face in public. You were beaten up by the Chen family and suffered unspeakably. Why didn't they treat you well? Are they out of their minds? Dong Fei immediately kicked Yunnan under the table. Yunnan said angrily, Why did you kick me? Dong Fei smiled awkwardly. Only then did Yunnan react. She hurriedly looked at Chu Xiang and apologized. I'm sorry. I saw your medical report. Yang Xueqing couldn't believe her ears. She looked at Chu Xiang in shock. You're injured all over? She suddenly noticed that Chu Xiang was the only one who was still wearing a long-sleeved shirt and trousers despite the heat. Her collar was also high. Her heartbeat suddenly quickened as she asked in disbelief. Why you were abused? Yunnan sat up straight. She was annoyed. Why did she talk so fast? Once she got angry, she would say everything. Chu Xiang smiled. It's all in the past. No one beats me now. I even have money to sleep in a comfortable bed, eat good food, and study in such a good school. Compared to before, I'm very happy. I was so unhappy before because my biological parents hated me, and I was a little afraid of Chu Xian. Now I'm not afraid anymore. In fact, I don't feel anything for them. Thinking about my previous life, I feel that I'm quite lucky. They looked at the smile on her face. It was very bright, and there was not a trace of gloominess. She was really satisfied with the current situation. At this moment, they suddenly felt that she didn't need any sympathy. Even if they all felt injustice for her, she only needed to be happy. She would only be hurt if she cared. If she didn't care, who could hurt her? including a large number of students in the school who didn't like her. If she treated them like air, what could they do? Just like these two. The aggrieved one was never Chu Xiang, but those who hated Chu Xiang. They still weren't sure if Chu Xiang was telling the truth, but they did get a little closer. Moreover, their hearts were already unconsciously leaning towards Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang didn't say anything more. She smiled and invited them to eat. She asked them about the preferences of the teachers in each subject. The topic gradually led to relaxed fun things in the school. In the end, they all went back to class with smiles. Of course, it was the 4 girls who laughed. Xiaoyan was still expressionless and didn't say a word. But this was enough to surprise the students in the class. Xiaoyan had been their classmate for 2 years. Who had he talked to? He actually went out to eat with Chu Xiang and came back together. And those girls, they actually got along so well with Chu Xiang. They were afraid of being contaminated by people like Chu Xiang. Everyone seemed to be learning their own things, but in fact, everyone's eyes were drifting towards Chu Xiang countless times. The teachers who came to class couldn't help but take a few more glances at Chu Xiang. She had changed so much that it was hard for anyone not to notice it. The more Chu Xiang was like this, the more she didn't dare to act rashly, because she couldn't guess how Chu Xiang would react. If they fell out and made a scene, even if the students still believed her in the end, her face would become very ugly. In other people's hearts, she would become the party involved in a quarrel between sisters. She cherished her reputation and didn't want to become like that. She didn't make a move, but Chu Xiang felt that it was quite boring. This White Lotus was too unprofessional. She had just been scolded by the evil female supporting lead once, and she had already stopped. There was a physical education class in the afternoon, so she had to go to the locker room to change into sportswear. Chu Xiang had the heaven and earth mirror keep an eye on Chu Xian. When she found that Chu Xian was the last to change, she slipped in when no one was paying attention. With the heaven and earth mirror guarding the door, only the 2 Chu sisters were left in the locker room. Chu Xian saw Chu Xiang walking towards her, and was a little surprised. She said calmly, "Sister, why are you back? Did you leave something behind?" Chu Xiang smiled at her with bad intentions. "No, I'm here to look for you." "Look for me?" Chu Xian found that she couldn't guess what Chu Xiang wanted to do. This feeling of being out of control made her very annoyed. She was just about to ask Chu Xiang why she was looking for her when Chu Xiang grabbed her collar and threw her to the ground. "I'm here to settle the score with you." Chu Xiang smiled and squatted down in front of her. She patted her face and said with a contemptuous attitude, "Didn't you say that I bullied you? I can't take the blame for nothing. At least I have to make the blame come true, right?" "You. Are you crazy?" Chu Xian's eyes widened. She pushed Chu Xiang away and got up to run out. Chu Xiang grabbed her collar and threw her to the ground again. "Where are you going? Sister hasn't finished talking yet. How can you leave? Is this how the Chu family taught you?" "Chu Xiang." Chu Xian stood up angrily. "Aren't you afraid that people will find out?" Chu Xiang spread her hands in confusion. "Doesn't everyone know that I bullied you? What do I have to be afraid of?" She turned to look at Chu Xian's wardrobe, which was filled with neatly folded school uniforms. Chu Xiang put her right hand into the pocket of her sportswear. Using the pocket as a cover, she took out a pair of gloves from the interspace and put them on. Then she took out a pair of scissors and quickly cut Chu Xian's school uniform into pieces in front of her, scattering them all over the floor. Chu Xian looked at Chu Xiang in shock and astonishment, as if she didn't know her at all. At the same time, she felt that she had found the source of all the suffering she had suffered in her previous life. Chu Xiang was just pretending. The Chu family gave up on her because of Chu Xiang's instigation. Chu Xian's eyes were filled with shock and hatred. "Chu Xiang, you deserve to die." Chu Xiang took out an eyeliner pen from her pocket and walked towards Chu Xian with a smile. "I'm tired of hearing such words, but until now no one has been able to kill me." Chu Xian saw the eyeliner pen and didn't know what she wanted to do. She shouted angrily, "Get lost! If you dare to do anything to me, I won't let you off." "Oh, if I don't do anything, you'll let me off? Weren't you the one who set up such a vicious character for me? It doesn't matter even if you find out." Chu Xiang laughed as she grabbed her and pressed her against the wall. Then, she quickly drew a toad on her face. Chu Xian screamed and struggled madly. She should be stronger than Chu Xiang, but she didn't know how Chu Xiang was holding her down. She couldn't break free. Chu Xiang stepped back a little after she finished drawing. Looking at her masterpiece, she nodded in satisfaction. Not bad. It's a perfect match for you. They're both disgusting things. Ah. Chu Xiang. Let go of me. Chu Xian suddenly thought that there might be classmates passing by outside the changing room. Suppressing her anger, she swallowed all the curses she wanted to say and shouted in horror. Big sister, let go of me. What are you doing? With the heaven and earth mirror guarding her, Chu Xiang knew clearly whether there was anyone outside or not. She casually let go of Chu Xian and clapped her hands with a smile. All right, that's all for today. I'm going to class. After all, I'm going to be a good student now. I'm going to be a good student that everyone likes. I'll bully you again when I have time. In Chu Xian's eyes, Chu Xiang's brilliant smile was like the reincarnation of a devil. She wiped her face with all her might, and the first thing she did was to take out a mirror from her bag. When she saw the toad on her face, she immediately screamed. Her anger and embarrassment had reached its peak. No matter how much Chu Xian wanted to get even with Chu Xiang or find someone to complain, she didn't want to see anyone with such a disgusting toad on her face. She only hesitated for 2 seconds before running to wash her face. At this time, Chu Xiang had already sneaked into the bathroom with the help of the heaven and earth mirror. Fortunately, there was a washroom in the cubicle. The classmate in the cubicle was flushing. Chu Xiang also came out of the washroom and happened to bump into her classmate. However, they weren't familiar with each other, so they didn't talk to each other. After washing their hands, they left one after another. That classmate saw Chu Xiang standing in front of the vending machine, hesitating as if she was thinking about what to drink. She didn't look at her and quickly left. 2 minutes later, a few more students passed by the vending machine and saw Chu Xiang buying 4 bottles of water. She just happened to enter the gym with them. As it was the first time they saw Chu Xiang buying things, and so much at that, the students couldn't help but take a few more glances. They had heard that Chu Xiang was a country bumpkin who didn't even know how to use smart appliances after being adopted. They thought that she didn't know how to use vending machines to buy things. Chu Xiang gave the water to Yang Xueqing and Yunnan. She also ran to the boys' cubicle and gave Xiaoyan a bottle. The 2 girls naturally took it, but Xiaoyan didn't respond. His fingers hanging by his sides were slightly curled up. When Chu Xiang saw this, she directly stuffed a bottle of water into his hand and smiled happily. You don't even participate in physical education class. Drink some water by the side later. Otherwise, it'll be boring. Then she ran back. Xiaoyan, who was being watched by the whole class, hesitated for a moment. He held the bottle of water and didn't move. It was also surprising that he didn't move. In the past, there were girls who pursued him who stuffed delicious food under his desk. He didn't even sit down. He directly asked the driver to go into the classroom to clean it up and throw it all into the trash can. The teacher also specially criticized the behavior of stuffing food under other people's desks, so no one dared to curry favor with him anymore. This time, Chu Xiang stuffed a bottle of water into his hand and nothing happened? Was he really going to drink it? The physical education teacher came, and the students didn't have a chance to talk about it anymore. When they found that Chu Xian wasn't in the classroom, the class monitor immediately asked the girls in the class who had seen Chu Xian. The girls looked at each other, and all shook their heads blankly. Then they looked at Wang Shasha. Wasn't Wang Shasha and Chu Xian close? Wang Shasha thought for a moment. I just went to buy milk tea, so I didn't go with Chu Xian. She seemed to have to finish a question before going to the locker room. Maybe she missed the class bell? She should be here soon. Of course, the physical education teacher wouldn't wait for anyone. He recorded it on the attendance sheet and asked everyone to run laps. Then he listed 3 sports for everyone to participate in and freely form teams to practice. 10 minutes later, Chu Xian still hadn't appeared. Wang Shasha was a little anxious and ran to the teacher to ask for leave to find Chu Xian. Chu Xiang naturally played basketball with Yunnan. There was nothing magical in her space, but she had everything that could be bought with money in the ordinary world. Eyeliner, which was extremely difficult to remove makeup, was one of them. It had to be removed with a strong makeup remover 3 times. She had invested in the research and development of the eyeliner. As for Chu Xian, she was bound to go home with a toad today. Wang Shasha might get angry if she bumped into the muzzle of the gun. Wang Shasha ran to the locker room. She was scared when she saw the torn pieces of the school uniform on the floor. She ran in hurriedly and shouted Chu Xian's name. She heard the sound of water in the bathroom and rushed over. She saw Chu Xian frantically scrubbing her face. She was shocked. Chu Xian, what's wrong with you? She was about to pull Chu Xian away. She was scrubbing her face so hard that her skin was about to fall off. Chu Xian screamed, "Don't come over. Get out. Get out." Chu Xian's voice was so sharp that it gave Wang Shasha a fright. Wang Shasha was stunned. "What are you doing? Are you okay?" When Chu Xian heard her voice, she hurriedly restrained her emotions. However, this feeling of being unable to vent her anger was like a huge stone pressing down on her chest, making it hard for her to breathe. She was almost suffocating, and even her scalp felt numb. She covered her face tightly with her back facing Wang Shasha. She gasped for breath and said in a sobbing voice, "Don't look at me. You're disfigured." Wang Shasha's eyes widened and she gasped. She thought of the shredded school uniform outside, and the hair on her body stood up. Chu Xian leaned over the sink and cried, "No, but she drew an ugly toad on my face. It's so disgusting. I want to vomit when I see it. I can't wash it off no matter how hard I try. What should I do, Shasha? I can't see anyone." "Her? Who?" Wang Shasha saw her friend breaking down and hurried over to hug her. "Chu Xiang? Did she bully you again?" Xian, raise your head and let me see. What did she use to dry it? Why can't you wash it off? I'll help you wash it off." Chu Xian shook her head desperately. She didn't want anyone to see her, but she had used up a lot of her strength to struggle. Wang Shasha was taller and stronger than her. She pulled Chu Xian's hand away and took a big step back almost reflexively. Chu Xian immediately covered her face again and broke down. "Don't look at me. I'm sorry, Xian. I didn't do it on purpose. Chu Xiang is too evil. Is she crazy? How can she bully you like this? Let's go. I'll take you to her." Wang Shasha was ashamed of her reaction and wanted to do something to make up for it. She almost immediately thought of Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang dared to bully people like this. This time, she had to confront her face to face and let the whole school know what kind of person Chu Xiang was. However, Chu Xian didn't want to. She pushed Wang Shasha's hand away and shouted, "How can I go? How can I see anyone like this? It's too disgusting. I don't want to see anyone." Then go to the teaching office and only let the teaching director see. Let him teach Chu Xiang a lesson. "No, I won't go. I must wash it off." Chu Xian leaned over the sink and faced Wang Shasha with the back of her head. She awkwardly used the water to rub her face. Wang Shasha took a few deep breaths and mentally prepared herself. She went over and said, "I'll help you. Xian, don't be afraid. We have such a good relationship. I'll help you. Come, put more hand soap." Chu Xian had been struggling for a long time. Now that Wang Shasha saw it, she hesitated and agreed to let Wang Shasha help. She raised her head and looked at herself in the mirror. Her face was red from all the rubbing, but the toad that occupied her entire face did not lose any color. Her original facial features could not be seen at all. She could only see a disgusting, ugly toad. Chu Xiang asked the heaven and earth mirror to monitor Chu Xian. She knew her situation like the back of her hand. She was very satisfied with the heaven and earth mirror, and found a sneaky angle to take a picture of Chu Xian looking in the mirror. In the picture, Chu Xian was disgusting. Her good friend Wang Shasha showed a patient expression at an angle that she couldn't see. Interesting. Could the relationship of a good friend withstand the test? Chu Xian and Wang Shasha couldn't wash it off for a long time. They found that the students were about to finish class and change their clothes, so they could only leave first. Wang Shasha used her school uniform to cover Chu Xian's face, and pulled her all the way to the teaching office. She was very angry. "You can't bear it anymore. You must drive Chu Xiang out, and let your parents know how vicious she is. Chu Xian was angry and hateful. In the end, she decided to go all out. After all, only the head teacher saw it. Chu Xiang dared to do such a thing today. If she didn't drive Chu Xiang away, who knew what would happen next? Chu Xiang dared to provoke her directly. She would teach Chu Xiang a lesson. After class, some students noticed their strange behavior. They took a few more glances at them, but didn't pay much attention to them. Chu Xiang played basketball and badminton. She had a lot of fun. Later, when she was tired, she asked the teacher for leave and sat next to Xiao Yan for a long time. After class, they all ran to the changing room. Chu Xiang, Yunnan, and Yang Xueqing walked in with smiles. They heard a few sharp sounds in front of them. Pervert! Who is this? Cutting the school uniform again? Chu Xian's wardrobe. All the students looked at Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang looked confused and squeezed to the front to take a look. She said in surprise, "Someone is cutting the school uniform again?" She looked around and said hurriedly, "I've never done such a thing. It wasn't me last time or this time." Someone said angrily, "This has never happened before you came. You're the only one who doesn't like Chu Xian." Yunnan stepped in front of Chu Xiang and said with a cold face, "What are you doing? Are you trying to convict someone without evidence? Even the police aren't as capable as you. How can you be sure that Chu Xiang did it just by looking at the rags on the ground?" "Oh, you're helping her now. This is Chu Xian's uniform. Who else could it be?" Chu Xiang glanced at the angry students around her and said in confusion, "Other than me, it could be her. Isn't it more convenient for her to cut her own uniform? The wardrobe is still open. Do you think I know how to pick the lock? She's been in trouble so many times, and no one saw who did it. Isn't it obvious? She was the one who did it." The girls looked at her as if she was an idiot. "Chu Xiang, have you lost your mind? She did it herself? Is she crazy to do such a thing?" Chu Xiang frowned. "Aren't all the students in our class smart? You always laugh at me for being stupid. Can't I see such an obvious thing? There are too many benefits for her to do such a thing, okay? Also, which one of you can calmly care about the perpetrator when faced with such a thing? Not only does she care about me, but she's also not afraid at all. Didn't she come late to change her own clothes? Isn't she afraid that I'll bully her? Why isn't she afraid? Because she's the one who did it. Just wait and see. She'll definitely make a big deal out of this and kick me out of school. She might even kick me out of the Chu family. In the future, she'll be the only daughter of the Chu family." The girls were stunned. Then they looked at Chu Xiang and sneered. "You're really good at making things up. We've known her for 2 years. Do you think we'll believe you?" Yang Xueqing stood out and said, "You've known her for 2 years, but you don't know her well. You can't judge a book by its cover." "You're helping her too?" Yang Xueqing looked at the torn clothes. "I'm just analyzing it calmly. Before there's any evidence, it's best not to side with anyone. Chu Xiang changed her clothes with me today. After changing, she went to the bathroom. Not long after, she bought water and went back to the gym. She didn't have time to hide here and wait for everyone to leave before doing these things." The classmate who met Chu Xiang in the bathroom looked at her watch. "I saw Chu Xiang come out of the bathroom about 3 minutes before class started. She went in before me. At least 4 minutes before class started, she was in the bathroom." Yang Xueqing said, "We changed our clothes and went there together. It was around that time." Several classmates said, "When we entered the gym, we saw Chu Xiang buying water there." Yunnan snorted. "Did you hear that clearly? There's only a 15-minute break between classes. Changing clothes, going to the bathroom, and buying water were all seen by people. Everyone knows what time it was. How could Chu Xiang have the time to bully others? If she wanted to find a corner to beat someone up, it would be more likely. Running to the changing room to cut clothes? Show me what you're doing first." The girls looked at each other and whispered a few words. They felt that she really didn't have time to do such things. Besides, if Chu Xiang really ran around and did so many things, there would definitely be people who saw it. Now that Chu Xiang wasn't there, and there was no other evidence, they felt that they might have really wronged Chu Xiang this time. The group secretary pushed his glasses and came out to smooth things over. All right, class is about to start. Everyone, quickly change your clothes. We'll ask Chu Xian what happened when we find her. Yunnan pulled Chu Xiang to change her clothes and said to her, don't be afraid. These people have nothing to do. If Chu Xian wronged you again, I'll help you and them. Chu Xiang smiled and said, thank you. Actually, it doesn't matter. I feel that I've always been calculative with her in the past, which is what she wants. If I ignore her, won't she be a clown? Anyway, no matter what she does, she won't be the biological daughter of the Chu family. The two of them didn't deliberately lower their voices, so more than a dozen girls in the class heard it. Some rolled their eyes and sneered. Some glanced at Chu Xiang and felt that she was too much of a bully. There were also 2 or 3 girls who were moved by her. Thinking about it, they felt that there was no reason for a biological daughter to be so rebellious. If an adopted daughter deliberately framed her, it would be quite logical. Everyone quickly washed up and changed into their uniforms before returning to class. On the way back, some girls told the boys about the incident. When the students in the class saw that Chu Xian and Bai Shasha's seats were empty, they couldn't help but gather in groups and talk about it. From time to time, they would glance at Chu Xiang, as if they were afraid that others wouldn't know that they were talking about Chu Xiang. Yunnan and Yang Xueqing were a little worried about Chu Xiang. They didn't completely trust Chu Xiang, but at least Chu Xiang's time alone during class was very short. They firmly believed that Chu Xiang didn't have time to do bad things. However, after being criticized by so many people indiscriminately, the scale of their trust in Chu Xiang tilted a lot in their hearts. The last class was a self-study class. Everyone was impetuous because of the cutting of their uniforms and couldn't calm down to study. In the end, Chu Xiang was focused on doing the questions and didn't get distracted at all. A boy at the last table chuckled. Forget it. She didn't even take it seriously. Why are you guys blindly thinking about it? Another boy jeered. She's a little cool. In the eyes of the boys, the conflict between Chu Xiang and Chu Xian wasn't serious. It was just a dispute, so they didn't pay much attention to it. In the past, when Chu Xiang lowered her head and didn't say anything, they also felt that there was something wrong with her and didn't like her. However, after Chu Xiang woke up by the pool, things changed. When she looked at them and questioned them, they felt a little guilty. Why were a group of men following her around? They didn't look manly at all. When Chu Xiang asked Chu Xiang in public whether she was a saint or a green tea bitch, many of the boys laughed. They inexplicably felt that it was quite interesting. It turned out that Chu Xiang was quite talkative, and she was quite good at it. Her voice wasn't loud, but a few questions had bullied Chu Xian to tears. Today, they saw a group of girls cutting Chu Xiang's uniform. However, Chu Xiang was focused on her studies and didn't pay attention to them at all. They suddenly felt that she was very cool. She was a girl with a lot of personality. Also, Chu Xiang was quite good-looking. She looked quite pretty when she smiled. Most of the boys had long since lost their sense of rejection towards Chu Xiang. At this moment, Chu Xian was crying in the teaching office. The teaching director was a man in his 40s. He was very serious, and many students were afraid of him. Knowing that a student had cut someone else's uniform, the teaching director immediately paid attention to it and asked about the details of the incident. Chu Xian picked out half of the truth and half of the lies. She maintained the image of a kind person who was bullied, and she believed in Chu Xiang's arrogant words and actions. The teaching director frowned tightly. He called the head teacher of their class to come over to understand the situation and investigate it. Chu Xian didn't want one more person to see her face, but she had no choice. She had already reported it to the school. It involved the safety of other students, so she had to investigate it thoroughly. The head teacher was a young female teacher. She didn't have as strong self-control as the teaching director. Although she tried to control her expression was still very stiff. Moreover, she quickly looked away and only looked at the teaching director. The head teacher had heard about the previous incident, but because it didn't cause trouble and also involved the conflict of the Chu family, she turned a blind eye and didn't do anything. This time, the impact of the incident was very bad. She immediately went to the class and called Chu Xiang to the teaching office. Chu Xian thought that her acting was good because she had never seen Chu Xiang before. The teaching director saw Chu Xiang for the first time and felt that she was an innocent child. He had been the teaching director for 5 years and had been a head teacher for many years. He had sharp eyes and couldn't be wrong. So at that moment he frowned again. He felt that this matter was troublesome. Wang Shasha was angry when she saw Chu Xiang. She pointed at her nose and scolded her. Look at what you did. You should go to the mental hospital if you have a mental illness. What's the point of bullying Chu Xian? Pervert. The head teacher stopped her. Calm down. Don't quarrel. Chu Xiang said calmly to the 2 teachers. I didn't cut Chu Xian's uniform. Her uniform was cut once last time. They didn't cut it. Even Chu Xian's uniform was cut by me. But I really didn't cut it. I cherished the opportunity to study in school. They think that I'm jealous of Chu Xian, but I feel that my life now is nothing compared to before. I don't need to find trouble for myself. If my parents hate me and send me back to the Chen family, I'll be in trouble. So I will never bully Chu Xian or violate the school rules. Please don't worry. She looked like a standard good student. Anyone who saw her would think that she was very obedient. Chu Xian covered her face. She was so angry that her hands were trembling. If there was no one else here, she would have pounced on Chu Xiang and scratched her face. Such a disgusting toad. She would be scared awake even in her dreams. How dare Chu Xiang? Chu Xian cried. Chu Xiang, you're lying. You threatened me in the changing room just now. Wang Shasha held Chu Xiang's shoulder and glared at her fiercely. Xian tolerated you again and again. You didn't repent and bullied her even more. Why are you so disgusting? Head teacher, expel her. She doesn't deserve to study in our school. The head teacher saw that Chu Xiang was obviously nervous. He panicked and said, Expel? Head teacher, I really didn't do it. Oh yes, there are witnesses in my class. I was with my classmates after class. Many of them saw me. I didn't go to the changing room to cut the uniform. They can testify for me. No, I'll go find them. I'm innocent. You can't expel me. Chu Xiang didn't give them a chance to stop her. She turned around and ran out. Chu Xian's body stiffened. She immediately stood up and wanted to walk out, but was stopped by the head teacher. The head teacher frowned. Don't chase after her. She will definitely come back when she finds her classmates. She still wants to go to school. Calm yourself down. Teacher will definitely help you investigate this matter and find out who is the prankster. Chu Xian covered her face and shook her head. Her voice was anxious. Head teacher, I don't want others to see me like this. I'm too ugly. Please, head teacher. The head teacher was stunned. However, from her position, it was not a big deal. You are the victim. No one will use this to mock you. Don't worry. The most important thing is to find out the truth. Then I won't investigate. I really can't stand so many people seeing my face. I won't investigate. The head teacher frowned. Student, this is not your fault. If we don't find out the truth, the school will be in a panic. Who will have the mood to study? He made a phone call and asked all the surveillance cameras in the school to check if there were any clues. There were surveillance cameras in many places in the school. No matter whether the witnesses Chu Xiang found were telling the truth or not, the surveillance cameras would not lie. Chu Xian was still thinking of a way to escape when Chu Xiang came back with 7 or 8 classmates. Head teacher, they can all testify for me. I really didn't cut the school uniform. Yunnan, Yang Xueqing, and a few other classmates who saw Chu Xiang during class all said what they knew. They couldn't directly prove that Chu Xiang didn't do it, but piecing together the time they saw Chu Xiang, they found that no one could perfectly avoid people and go to the changing room to cut the school uniform in such a short time. Wang Shasha, of course, believed Chu Xiang more. She suspected Yunnan and Yang Xueqing almost instantly. Did Chu Xiang feed you lies? You actually helped her lie? Yunnan and Yang Xueqing felt wronged in public for the first time. At this moment, they empathized with Chu Xiang. At the same time, they were disgusted with people like Wang Shasha. They said coldly, Are you addicted to slandering others? We didn't lie. There are surveillance cameras to prove it. At this time, the control room called back to the head teacher. The surveillance cameras showed that Chu Xiang's movements during class were exactly the same as the testimony of the witnesses. Chu Xiang didn't enter the changing room after changing her clothes. From the surveillance cameras before and after the incident, only Chu Xian was in the changing room at that time. Chu Xiang raised her head in shock. The moment her face was exposed, there were screams of horror in the office. Chu Xiang and the other classmates were shocked. Chapter 235. Disgusting. One of the girls blurted out, and even bent over to retch. Her face was pale, and it was clear that she was truly disgusted and wasn't trying to humiliate others on purpose. However, it was precisely because she didn't do it on purpose that it showed how disgusting Chu Xian was right now. Chu Xian immediately covered her face and turned around, yelling in anger and despair, "Get out! All of you, get out!" Chu Xiang's face was still filled with shock and astonishment while the other girls were scared out of their wits as well. The dean observed them and felt that this should be the first time they found out about the toad on Chu Xian's face. Chu Xiang's expression didn't seem like she was faking it. The toad that she had drawn was really unbelievable. Wang Shasha stood in front of Chu Xian and shouted, "Stop arguing! What are you guys shouting for? Where are your manners? All of you, get out and don't talk nonsense." The few of them immediately felt uncomfortable. They were all classmates and there was no hierarchy between them. What right did Wang Shasha have to criticize and order them around? Anyone would be disgusted by Chu Xian's current appearance, alright? Furthermore, they weren't mentally prepared at all and were naturally shocked when they saw it. What right did they have to be rude? The few of them were about to leave with ugly expressions when Chu Xiang stepped forward and stopped them. She said anxiously, "Dean teacher, you guys aren't suspecting that I was the one who drew that thing on Chu Xian's face, are you?" "I didn't. I didn't cut off the school uniform, nor did I draw her face. I really didn't. Please believe me. My classmates can testify for me." Wang Shasha had also heard what the dean said, and she was confused as well. However, her habit over the past few months had her certain that Chu Xiang was the one who did it. After all, other than Chu Xiang, who else would do that to Chu Xian? Thus she came up with an excuse. "You must have done it when no one was looking at you. Who knows if you went around the changing room and jumped in through the window? That was way too difficult. It might be possible to film a secret agent movie, but the problem was that they were just ordinary students." The moment she said that, everyone in the room felt that it was ridiculous. Chu Xiang's eyes widened in surprise. "You mean that I went around the changing room within 3 to 4 minutes, ran so far, and—" She seemed to be speechless and could not continue. "Don't be ridiculous. No wonder you and Chu Xian are best friends. Both of you like to accuse others and spout nonsense. Oh right, what's that on Chu Xian's face? A toad, right? It looks so real. Honestly, even the best art teacher in the school wouldn't be able to finish it in such a short time, right? What's more, I don't know how to draw at all. In my previous school, my art class was just passing by. Last week, when I handed in my art homework in class, didn't my homework fall on the floor and get laughed at by everyone? Aren't you just mocking my lousy drawing? Now you actually think that the toad on her face was drawn by me?" Chu Xian was so shocked that she even forgot to cry. That's right. Why is Chu Xiang so good at drawing? Last week, Chu Xiang's painting fell on the ground on purpose, and then led Wang Shasha to laugh at Chu Xiang. Naturally, several students also followed and laughed at her. This kind of ridicule was the most hurtful. Chu Xiang actually hit it so deeply? The whole class knew that Chu Xiang's drawing skills were poor, but she said that the painting on her face was drawn by Chu Xiang. Who would believe her? Wang Shasha and the other students were also stunned, and Chu Xiang seemed to have figured out something, and said with righteous indignation, "I know you all planned it and colluded to frame me. Director, teacher, this isn't the first time Chu Xian has framed me. In the past 3 months, she has framed me at least 8 times at home and in school. She even hid her necklace in my room and framed me for stealing it. She has a bad character, and the surveillance cameras prove that I didn't return to the locker room. She still wants to frame me. Don't believe her. I cherish the opportunity to study in school. Don't expel me." The students in the class all knew how hard Chu Xiang studied after she almost died. Now that she was framed and forced to beg the school not to expel her, their hearts were greatly touched. Yes, it was framed. They saw Chu Xiang with their own eyes and pieced together the time. They knew that Chu Xiang couldn't have done anything. The surveillance cameras also confirmed that Chu Xiang was alone in the locker room at that time. Does it even matter what the truth is? It was obvious that Chu Xiang cut up the school uniform and drew her face to frame Chu Xiang. She just didn't expect that there would be so many witnesses, and she even checked the surveillance cameras during the dispute. Thinking that the previous incidents couldn't prove that Chu Xiang did it, they looked at Chu Xian strangely. Could it be that Chu Xian was the one who had framed Chu Xiang for the past few times when she was a thief? Yang Xueqing stood beside Chu Xiang and said to the director, "Director, similar incidents have happened before. I want to ask, how long will the school's surveillance cameras be kept? Is it possible to find it now?" Yunnan immediately said, Yes, we can check the surveillance cameras. Chu Xiang is innocent. We can check the surveillance cameras to find out who did it." Yunnan looked at Chu Xian with disgust. Chu Xian still had her back to them, but she was already panicking. If they checked the surveillance cameras and found that Chu Xiang didn't bully her at all, wouldn't everything be over? She wasn't afraid of what the people in school would think of her, but she was afraid that her parents would abandon her like in her previous life when they found out the truth. Chu Xian had no choice but to pretend to be sick. She covered her stomach and pretended to vomit. She looked quite uncomfortable. The director hurriedly asked, "What's wrong? Where do you feel uncomfortable?" Wang Shasha said anxiously, "Maybe she got too much hand sanitizer when she was washing her face, and she accidentally swallowed it." "Hand sanitizer? Nonsense. Send her to the school doctor's office. If not, send her to the hospital. Let's check this matter later." The dean stood up and motioned for the head teacher to send Chu Xian to the hospital. The girls at the door consciously made way for her. Chu Xiang pursed her lips and watched her walk past. Then she looked at the dean and said stubbornly, "Dean, after I came to this school, I liked this school very much. I like the teachers here, the students here, the playground, the teaching building, and everything. But I was wronged again and again here, and I'm really sad. This time, I don't want to leave it unsettled. The feeling of being isolated and ostracized is really uncomfortable." The dean looked at her and felt that she was like a child who was holding back her grievances and wanted to seek justice. It was just like how his own child looked when he misunderstood and taught her a lesson. His heart softened a little. He said, "This matter is very clear from the surveillance cameras. It has nothing to do with you. As for the matter of Chu Xian being the one who did it, I will understand the situation with her later. If she deliberately framed you, I will punish her." Chu Xiang looked at him. "Then the school won't expel me, right?" The dean was amused by her simple worry. "No, they won't. You can all go back to class. If there is a need, I will ask you again." Chu Xiang looked obviously relieved. She bowed slightly to the dean politely. "Thank you, Dean. We will go back then." When the others saw this, they also bowed slightly and walked back to class with Chu Xiang. Because they had been frightened and screamed just now, everyone needed to rest and walked very slowly. Yunnan looked at Chu Xiang and put her arm around her shoulder. "Don't worry. Since the dean said that you are fine, they won't be able to frame you this time." Chu Xiang nodded and smiled. "As long as I don't get expelled, I don't care about anything else. Anyway, I am used to it." The girls who were testifying for her were stunned when they heard this. They looked at her in unison. They were still at the age where they were carefree. Their worries were nothing more than too much homework, food they didn't like, and so on. Chu Xiang, on the other hand, actually felt that being hated by her classmates was something normal. It seemed that this was all their fault. Chu Xiang was wronged. They forced Chu Xiang to be satisfied as long as she didn't get expelled. These girls were not bad people. They just followed the crowd and ostracized Chu Xiang without thinking too much. They isolated Chu Xiang, and even spread the news of what Chu Xiang did to her classmates. However, now that they suddenly knew that Chu Xiang had framed Chu Xian, what about the previous few times? When they thought about Chu Xian's innocent and kind appearance, They felt that she was a scheming B***tch. Why did they feel that she was the one who did all the previous things? One of the girls hesitated and said, Chu Xiang, I am sorry. I seem to have misunderstood you. Chu Xiang stopped in her tracks. She turned around and smiled at her. It's okay. It's fine as long as we find out the truth. Her smile made the others feel much more relaxed. They followed her footsteps and walked side by side with her. One of the girls asked, Is Chu Xian really that bad? She even wrongly accused you of stealing? Is it because of her identity? Another girl followed up and asked, How did she harm you at home? Give it to us. Chu Xiang shook her head. I don't have any evidence. I can't do those things. If you come out, we might be able to help you analyze it and find evidence or something. At the very least, we can help you spread the news and let others know that she is the one who bullied you, not the other way around. Chu Xiang still shook her head. Forget it. I tried to explain it to others in the past, but it was useless. I was even punished by my parents many times. I didn't even get to eat. I have thought it through. As long as I don't have any conflicts with Chu Xian, my life will be much better. I just want to study hard, get into a good university, and find a stable job after graduation. I will be satisfied with that. I won't fight with her for the position of Sister Chu, and I won't fight with my parents. This way, she won't find trouble with me anymore. The girl's family assets were not less than 1 billion yuan. After hearing Chu Xiang's dream, they could not understand it at all. They studied hard because they were willing to study. There were many people in the circle who did not like to study, and were just playboys. They could still enjoy life for the rest of their lives. The Chu family's assets were slightly higher than theirs. Their only eldest sister actually wanted to get into a good university and find a stable job. Wasn't this the most ordinary life of an ordinary person? Although Chu Xiang's expression was relaxed and even had a smile on her face, they felt very sad. Sometimes girls' emotions were inexplicable. With just a few words, they felt that Chu Xiang was very pitiful and believed that Chu Xian was the one who bullied Rao. This might have something to do with Chu Xian's face. Chu Xian's toad-like face had been deeply ingrained in their minds. Just thinking about it made them want to vomit. Naturally, it was difficult for them to have good fortune. Besides, Chu Xian said that this time Chu Xiang did it. The surveillance camera clearly confirmed that Chu Xian was the only one in the changing room. When they thought about how they supported Chu Xian in the past, and did not see through her hypocritical White Lotus facade, they hated Chu Xian even more. When they returned to class, the whole class looked up at them. No one knew about the toad incident. They only knew that they went to the teaching department to cut the school uniform. They all wanted to know the result. Under the gaze of everyone, Chu Xiang calmly returned to her seat and sat down. When she turned her head, she met Xiao Yan's gaze. She was sure that there was worry in Xiao Yan's eyes. However, when Xiao Yan saw her, he immediately lowered his head, as if he was very serious about doing the test paper. Chu Xiang smiled and whispered as she took out her exercise book, I'm fine. The director checked the surveillance camera. I didn't go. Chu Xian directed and acted by herself. Xiao Yan did not respond, but his hand that was tightly holding the pen relaxed and he wrote normally. Chu Xiang also focused on doing the test paper and did not say anything else. Anyone would be impatient when they encountered such a thing, right? Chu Xiang was immersed in doing the test paper again. Was there something about this set of questions that attracted her attention? Everyone was doing the same questions. Why didn't they feel that there was anything special about it? Fortunately, there were a few other girls. They felt that they had been deceived by Chu Xian for a long time. They were filled with righteous indignation and told the students who were close to them what had happened. It was a class system. There were only 30 people in the class, and they were sitting in different places. This matter was known to the whole class in a few minutes. Then the self-study class became louder. This truth was really too shocking. That perverted ragged school uniform was actually cut by Chu Xian herself? She also wrongly accused Chu Xiang of stealing the necklace. Maybe she deliberately fell into the water. That Chu Xiang had breathed her last and almost died. If it was just a prank on campus, they would at most say a few words and not have any contact with Chu Xian. However, They were all frightened by the swimming pool. It had only been 3 days, and everyone still remembered it clearly. If Chu Xian had done it on purpose, then she had almost killed Chu Xiang. The question was, did she deliberately kill Chu Xiang? Or did she deliberately want Chu Xiang to die? There were many rich people who turned against each other and schemed against each other in the fight for property and inheritance. They had seen a lot. After knowing that Chu Xian had framed Chu Xiang, they were terrified. If Chu Xiang died, they would not know the truth. They would definitely think that Chu Xiang pushed Chu Xian into the water and got herself killed. Maybe they would despise her after Chu Xiang's death, and the Chu family would be ashamed to have such a daughter. In the future, they would love Chu Xian more, who had been wronged and raised for so many years. Chu Xian would be the only heir of the Chu family. Once the conspiracy theory started, it could not be stopped. Although some people thought it was not so serious, they really came up with all kinds of ideas when talking about it. Just like they had convicted Chu Xiang without any evidence, now they had the evidence of the surveillance video, so it was easier to convict Chu Xian. In addition to the anger of being deceived by Chu Xian, they hated Chu Xian more than they hated Chu Xiang in the past. Chu Xian drank a medicine in the infirmary and felt much better. She asked Wang Shasha to go back to the class, and went to the academic affairs office. She wanted to ask about the surveillance video. If she really found something, then she still had a chance to cover up the truth. In fact, she was very careful and calculated very well. But today's incident disturbed her thoughts and made her unable to calm down at all. She was not so confident in what she had done. Today it was Chu Xiang who did it. How could the surveillance video show that Chu Xiang did not enter the gym? Chu Xian asked the director to take her to the surveillance room to check the surveillance video before the physical education class on the grounds that she did not believe the surveillance video. She put on a medical mask, sunglasses, and a hat, covering the ugly toad on her face, so she did not have to deliberately avoid people. Seeing that she insisted that it was Chu Xiang who did it, the director took her to see it. At the same time, he also found out what was going on. However, in the surveillance video, Chu Xiang went into the bathroom after separating from Yang Xueqing. After a few minutes, she came out with another student, and went to buy water to enter the gym. There was no abnormality at all. Chu Xian shook her head in disbelief. How is this possible? Did I see a ghost? The director was already a little angry. Chu Xian, this incident has a bad impact. It's not too late to tell the truth now. Otherwise, I will have to ask your parents to come and solve it. When Chu Xian heard the word parents, she immediately calmed down. She lowered her head and pretended to be weak and pitiful. She choked and said, "No, I am just an adopted daughter now. If I cause trouble for my family, I don't know if I can still go to school here." She felt that Chu Xiang's behavior of pretending to like school was very pleasing to the teachers, so she also used the same method. Then she said, "Director, I did experience a few bad things before. Can you help me check the surveillance video? I really want to know who did this to me. I always thought it was Chu Xiang." Today that person was wearing a mask, so I didn't see her face clearly. Of course, I thought it was Chu Xiang. I was wrong. But if it wasn't her, who could it be? Director, can you help me check? It feels terrible that someone is hiding in the dark to harm me. Chu Xian took off her glasses and wiped her tears. Her eyes were red from crying. The disgusting image on her face made her so angry that she cried for a long time. So at this time, she also acted pitifully. The director accepted her resignation and asked someone to check the surveillance video according to her several timings. The school's surveillance video covered 20 minutes. During this period, Chu Xian had framed Chu Xiang twice. The first time was in the resort swimming pool, not in school, and the second time was when she locked herself in the toilet with a mop. The surveillance video showed that before and after she went into the toilet, more than a dozen girls went in. Chu Xiang went in for a while and came out. The other girls also came out in 2s and 3s. Only Chu Xian didn't come out. After class, a teacher went in and found that her door was blocked. Because her cubicle was the innermost wall, opposite the utility room, the mop was not conspicuous. The director asked more than a dozen girls in the surveillance video. Only 2 of them noticed the mop, but they just thought that the cleaner put it there casually, or that the cubicle was broken, so they didn't think much about it. The other girls didn't notice it at all. They didn't remember whether they went to the toilet at that time, nor did they remember the mop. Since they didn't remember, it might not be done by the person who left the toilet last. It might also be that someone let the mop go before, and the girls who came out later didn't notice it. Of course, more than a dozen girls were suspects, and there was no evidence to prove that Chu Xiang did it. The classmate who saw Chu Xiang in the toilet just happened to bump into her when she was washing her hands. How could she see whether she put the mop or not? Because they were all questioned, this girl returned to class and told her classmates about the surveillance video. Everyone knew that the surveillance video only showed the incident in the toilet, but in the surveillance video, Chu Xiang was no different from the other girls. There were more than a dozen girls who were suspects, so there was no evidence. As for Chu Xian, why didn't she come out after going in for half a day? If she pushed the door open after going to the toilet and found that it couldn't be opened, wouldn't she call for help? If she went in and found that the door was closed after everyone left, then how long did she go to the toilet? Was she constipated? At this time, it was already evening self-study time, and no teacher came, so everyone started to talk about it again. In the end, they felt that Chu Xian might have deliberately framed Chu Xiang for being in the toilet for so long. If Chu Xian was innocent and was really bullied, then she could only be constipated for being in the toilet for so long. No matter how good a goddess was, if she was labeled as constipated, she would immediately fall from her pedestal. Chu Xian was either a thief crying thief or constipated. Neither was a good thing. Some classmates wanted to ask Chu Xiang about her past, but Chu Xiang said that she didn't know many questions and needed to focus on the questions. Then, she really did the questions and didn't talk to anyone. Everyone felt bored. Some started to study, and some talked to others. Anyway, if the kind and beautiful Chu Xian failed, it was worth talking about. Now they wanted to know whether Chu Xian was evil or innocent. They heard that the person who bullied Chu Xian this time was wearing a mask, so Chu Xian didn't see the face clearly. So it was uncertain who jumped in from the window. She could still be innocent. Chu Xian didn't go back to the classroom. Everyone was divided into two groups. Wang Shasha was so angry that Chu Xian wouldn't wrongly accuse others. At most, she didn't see the bad person's face clearly. On the other hand, Chu Xiang kept accusing Chu Xian of framing her without any evidence, which was really annoying. However, once doubts arose, they couldn't be dispelled so easily. Otherwise, why would people believe those groundless scandals in the entertainment industry, no matter how hard they tried to clarify them? This time, most of the students in the class no longer followed Wang Shasha's lead in scolding Chu Xiang. They had become neutral. Before new evidence was presented, they would not be able to decide whether to believe Chu Xiang or Chu Xian. Wang Shasha felt suffocated and ashamed. She scolded Chu Xiang so many times today. She was so fierce to Chu Xiang in front of the classmates and teachers. In the end, the surveillance video proved that it wasn't Chu Xiang who did it. The dean even warned her to be kind to her classmates and not to spread rumors. She had never been so embarrassed in her life. Why was she the only one who was warned by the dean? She was a little disappointed. Chu Xian was the one who was bullied. Why couldn't Chu Xian be stronger? She had just gone back. Every time she stood up for Chu Xian only knew how to cry. After the incident, she even forgave Chu Xiang, making her seem fierce. Thinking about it, during this period, everyone was kind to Chu Xian and thought that she was too fierce. She felt uncomfortable. Just like now, some of her classmates were looking at her with some suspicion. What right did she have? She was just helping her sister out of kindness. If Chu Xian could be more strong-willed and solve the problem properly, she wouldn't be so suspected by her classmates. At least, if Chu Xian could tell her that the person who cut the school uniform was wearing a mask and that it might not be Chu Xiang, she wouldn't have scolded Chu Xiang. What did it have to do with her? She was so aggrieved. After the students discussed everything they could, someone suddenly said, "Is that toad really that disgusting? I really want to see it." Chapter 236. Several girls who had seen Chu Xian before were speechless when they heard someone ask about the toad. They shook their heads and didn't want to mention it. They were disgusted. This made everyone even more curious. How realistic could it be on the face? Even Chu Xian couldn't stay still and draw for others, right? It must be a blur. Why did they feel disgusted? They really wanted to see it. Many students rushed out as soon as the bell rang. They wanted to bump into Chu Xian outside the teaching office or at the gate. Unfortunately, Chu Xian was sitting in her car with the windows closed. They didn't have a chance to see her. Chu Xian sent a message to Wang Shasha. When Wang Shasha came out, she asked her to get in the car. She helplessly showed her the message on her phone. Shasha, can I go to your house to remove my makeup? I'm so disgusted. I'm afraid my parents will see it. Wang Shasha was still uncomfortable. Seeing Chu Xian like this, her heart softened. She immediately agreed and typed a reply. Just go to my house. You can stay at my place tonight. Your eyes are swollen from crying. It'll be hard to explain if you remove your makeup. Chu Xian deliberately waited for her for this. She couldn't let her family know that the matter at school was not settled yet. However, she also paid a gardener at home to keep an eye out. If Chu Xiang came home, he would inform her immediately. Wang Shasha took Chu Xian home and used up all of her makeup remover to remove the ugly image. However, Chu Xian was already traumatized. Her skin was clearly red and there were no other marks, but she still felt that there were toads on it. No matter how she looked in the mirror, she felt that it wasn't clean enough. In the end, Wang Shasha dragged her out of the bathroom and tucked her into the quilt to let her have a good rest. She pretended to be tired and closed her eyes. When she was alone in the room, she grabbed the quilt angrily and thought about how to deal with Chu Xiang. Chu Xiang packed her bag after school. Yunnan and Yang Xueqing were waiting for her to leave together. She didn't know if Xiaoyan did it intentionally or not, but he also packed his things when she picked up her bag and walked behind her. Together with Dong Fei, who was waiting for Yunnan to come home, they became the same group of 5 again. Their school was one of the top 3 private schools, and it was extremely difficult to get in. It was equivalent to an aristocratic school, and most of the students were rich second-generation heirs. There were 200 students in each grade, and half of them were selected based on their grades, while the other half were selected based on high sponsorship fees. However, even if it was a merit selection, the annual tuition fee of more than $1 million was enough to stop ordinary families. Therefore, every time after school, there would be a long line of private cars waiting outside to pick up the students. Many luxury cars would appear, and most of them were driven by specialized drivers. Chu Xiang and the others walked to the door. Yunnan asked, Chu Xiang, where is your car? Chu Xiang looked around and shook her head. It's probably gone. Chu Xian should have already left. Dong Fei said in surprise, aren't we going to wait for you? It can't be, right? Your parents didn't even arrange a car for you? Do you want me to call a cab? It's so hard to get a cab here. Chu Xiang said with a smile, it's fine. We'll just wait for about 20 minutes. Maybe I haven't been home for the past 2 days, and the driver thought that I wasn't going home, so he didn't have to wait for me. Thought. Yang Xueqing caught the main point. Didn't your family call to ask about your situation? They don't even know if you're going home. Do they know that you're not in good health? Do they know that you went to the hospital? Then I went to the hospital from the holiday home. My mother went there and scolded me for a while before leaving. We didn't contact each other after that. They all felt that the Chu family had lost their minds. They only had one biological daughter, and she was in shock from drowning. The contents of the medical report were so shocking. How could they not ask about Chu Xiang? Chu Xiang shrugged. You don't have to look at me like I've suffered a great loss. In fact, I really don't care about this. I'm full and warm now. If I want to stay in a hotel, I can order takeout. If I want to go to the hospital, I can register for a specialist and stay in a VIP ward. I should be satisfied. You guys should go home. I'm leaving too. Hey, Chu Xiang, why are you staying in a hotel? Aren't you going home today? Yes, I don't want to go home. Although the school believes that I'm innocent, my family doesn't necessarily believe so. My family is a place where feelings are not reasonable. They love Chu Xian dearly and may ground me. I've been recuperating recently, and I don't plan to go back for the time being. Chu Xiang certainly didn't want to go back so soon. If she played Chu Xian to death, what else could she do? That kind of parents should love Chu Xian. She didn't want to destroy their relationship at all. She wanted to leave enough time for Chu Xian to find a way to save her. Chu Xiang waved goodbye to them. Yunnan and the others didn't have any good ideas, so they could only remind her to be careful. Chu Xiang walked for a while, and found that Xiaoyan had been following her. She asked with a smile, "Is your car here?" Xiaoyan didn't say anything and followed her a step behind. Chu Xiang slowed down a little and walked side by side with him. "Why are you always silent? Are you shy?" Xiaoyan couldn't help but glance at her. Was he shy? What was there to be shy about? Everyone else thought that he was as cold as an iceberg. How could she see that he was shy? Chu Xiang found it funny and said, "Why are you still following me? Are you afraid that I'll be in danger outside and want to protect me? Or do you want me to go to your house?" Xiaoyan blinked. Go to his house? He didn't know why he followed her. Maybe he just wanted to see her smile and listen to her more. He wanted to know why she could become so cheerful. If he let her live in his house, he could see her all the time. The Chu family didn't want her, but he did. Xiaoyan suddenly stopped. Chu Xiang stopped in surprise. "What's wrong? Are you angry?" "I'm joking." Then she saw Xiaoyan press on his watch. She saw that there was a GPS function on it. Soon, a low-key luxury car drove over. The driver opened the door and looked at them. Chu Xiang found that the driver was obviously stunned when he saw her and Xiaoyan standing together. Although the driver quickly recovered his expression, she could still see that the driver was very surprised. It seemed that he couldn't understand why his young master was hanging out with someone else. Chu Xiang felt that this was quite interesting. Xiaoyan was autistic. He wasn't completely autistic. There should be a cure. The Xiao family must have thought of all kinds of methods. From his current state, it was obvious that the effect wasn't good. As a doctor, Chu Xiang had a strong curiosity about his illness. She smiled at him and said, "Do you really want to invite me to your house?" Xiaoyan didn't say anything. He just looked at her. Chu Xiang tilted her head. "I don't know what you mean if you don't say anything. How about this? If you want me to go to your house, pull my sleeve and get in the car. Otherwise, I definitely won't go if you don't invite me." Chu Xiang looked at her watch. "If you don't respond, I'll leave." She was about to leave. Just as she turned around, she felt her sleeve being pulled. Chu Xiang looked back. Xiaoyan's lips were pursed into a straight line. He pulled her sleeve very hard and walked with his back to her. Chu Xiang looked up at the driver. The driver was staring at Xiaoyan's hand. He was so surprised that his eyeballs were about to fall out. When the car was on the road, the driver couldn't help but be curious. He glanced at them in the rearview mirror, and then looked again. A moment later, Xiaoyan pressed the button to separate the driver from the front. Chu Xiang flipped through her homework and roughly understood how much she needed to do at night. Then she smiled at Xiaoyan. "When we arrive at your house later, you'll be the host and I'll be the guest. Have you thought about how to treat me? You definitely haven't thought about it, right? Then hurry up and think about what you're going to give me to eat, what fruits, what drinks, and what games you're going to play with me. You can't expect me to go to your house and just sit there, right? If it's boring, I won't go next time." "Won't go if it's boring?" Xiaoyan looked out of the window in distress. How to treat a guest? He didn't know. He hadn't paid attention. Would it be fine if he gave her all the best things? Would that work? The driver could still vaguely hear their conversation. When he heard it, he immediately pricked up his ears. Did the girl not want to go to the Xiao family? Or did the young master coax her to go? This was the first time that his young master was going to entertain a guest. This was definitely a big deal. The driver took advantage of the partition, and Xiaoyan couldn't see the front. He used the car phone to call Xiaoyan's mother and lowered his voice. "Madam, young master has invited his classmate home. He values it very much." Hearing his voice, Xiaoyan's mother knew that he didn't want anyone to know. She looked at the time, and was on the way home after school. She simply asked, "Is it a male or female classmate?" Female classmate. If it's boring, I won't come next time. I know. Be careful. Xiao Yan's mother hung up, feeling a little excited. Xiao Yan hadn't made any friends for 10 years. This time, he actually brought a female classmate home. No matter what the reason was, she had to help her son entertain his friend well. Xiao Yan's mother first informed the butler through the internal line. Then, she informed Xiao Yan's father in the company. Ever since Xiao Yan had an accident, she quit the company and took care of Xiao Yan at home. She only worked remotely from home when Xiao Yan was in school. Because of this, Xiao Yan's father was under a lot of pressure. As the chairman of the Xiao Enterprise, he had a lot of work every day. He hadn't had a rest for several years. When he received the call today, he was in a meeting. The people in the meeting room were shocked to see the chairman's expression change. Then he announced that the meeting was over. After that, he left early. The traffic jam in Beijing was very serious. Xiao Yan's father was stuck halfway and was burning with anxiety. He called Xiao Yan's mother every few minutes to ask if his son was home and what his son's friend would be like. Why did he suddenly invite a female classmate? At first, Xiao Yan's mother excitedly discussed with him what to do. Later, Xiao Yan's mother got annoyed and simply blacklisted him and ignored him. It was the first time she entertained her son's friend. She wanted to leave a gentle and kind impression. Now, she was in a hurry to change her clothes and dress up. Who had the time to talk to her son's father? Chu Xiang just wanted to be a guest at her deskmate's house on a whim. She never expected that they would make such a big fuss. She walked into Xiao Yan's villa. The butler respectfully greeted her at the door. Xiao Yan's mother, who was wearing a pastel dress, greeted her with a warm smile. Yan is back. Is this Yan's good friend? Hello, I'm Xiao Yan's mother. You can call me Mrs. Xiao. Chu Xiang was stunned. Why did they call her Mrs. Xiao? Wasn't Auntie Xiao and Auntie Xiao popular now? You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.